The summoning circle burned with hellfire that smelled wrong, not brimstone and sulfur, but something older, something that predated even the first of the fallen. John Constantine dragged on his cigarette, watching emerald flames twist into geometries that made his eyes water, and wondered if he'd finally fucked up beyond redemption. Behind him, Zatanna's hands glowed with defensive magic while Etrigan, currently in Jason Blood's form, gripped his coat with white knuckles. John, Zatanna said carefully, what exactly did you summon? Demon Killer, Constantine muttered, flicking ash into the circle. Old spell, supposed to pull a champion. From the space between. Hells, something to deal with Narrans. Latest power play. He'd found the ritual in a book that screamed when opened, written in a language that shifted between Enochian and something that might have been Sumerian. The kind of book that came with a body count in its footnotes. The flames roared upward, and through them stepped a figure that made every magical alarm in Constantine's head shriek. Green armor, battered and scorched, with the kind of damage that should have killed its wearer 1,000 times over. A helmet with a visor that gleamed like a predator's eyes. Weapons, dear Christ, the weapons, maglocked to armor that radiated an energy Constantine had never encountered. Not divine, not infernal, something that existed purely to unmake demons. The Doomslayer stood in Constantine's warehouse, and hell itself flinched. For a moment, silence. The warrior's helmet turned slowly, scanning the room with methodical precision. Constantine felt the assessment. Cold and absolute, threat analysis. Tactical positioning, kill, order determination. He'd summoned soldiers before, warriors who lived for battle. This wasn't a soldier. This was an apocalypse given human form. Right, Constantine said, forcing his voice steady. So here's the deal, mate. Name's Constantine, and the Slayer moved. 1 second standing in the circle's center. The next, his gauntlet fist was inches from Constantine's throat. Close enough that the magician could see dried blood, black, demonic blood, caked in the armor's joints. The speed was inhuman. The intent was crystal clear. Not a demon, Constantine said quickly, hands raised. Human. Wizard. Arsehole, admittedly, but human. You're in a different dimension now. Different Earth. Still got demons, still got hell, but the fist withdrew fractionally. The helmet tilted, processing. Then the Slayer's hand moved to a weapon, massive, brutal. A shotgun that looked like it could punch holes through tank armor. He checked it with practiced efficiency, then reached for something at his belt. A blade materialized in his grip, energy crackling along its edge in colors that shouldn't exist. Red. Wrong. The kind of red that came from the core of hell itself. That's a crucible, Jason Blood said suddenly, his voice tight. I know that energy signature. That blade was forged in hell, quenched in demon blood, and empowered by. He stopped. What are you? The Slayer didn't answer. Couldn't answer, Constantine realized. Either by choice or by nature. This warrior communicated through action, not words. He'd seen it before in soldiers who'd pushed past trauma into something harder, colder. But this was different. This wasn't trauma. This was purpose, refined to an edge sharper than the demon-killing blade in the Slayer's hand. A scream echoed from somewhere in Gotham's industrial district. Not human. The pitch was wrong. The harmonics infernal. A lesser demon. Probably one of the dozens that had slipped through Narran's recent breach, feeding on fear in the city's shadows. The Doomslayer's head snapped toward the sound. Then he moved, a blur of green armor and absolute purpose, crashing through Constantine's warehouse wall without slowing. Bricks exploded outward. The night swallowed him whole. Bollocks, Constantine said. They found him 3 blocks away, standing over demon corpses that looked like they'd been put through an industrial shredder. 6 lesser demons. The kind that usually took Zatanna 10 minutes of careful spell work to banish. The Slayer had reduced them to component parts in under 30 seconds. Black Ichor pulled around his boots. He was reloading the shotgun with mechanical precision, each shell sliding into the chamber with practiced ease. Okay, Zatanna said quietly. We have a problem. The Slayer turned to face them, and Constantine saw something glowing on his armor. Argent energy, pulsing with absorbed power. The demon kills had made him stronger. He was a closed-loop system. Kill demons, absorb their energy, become more capable of killing demons. an eternal engine of demon genocide. Listen, Constantine tried again. We appreciate the enthusiasm, truly. But you can't just go around Gotham killing every demon you. A roar split the night. Constantine's blood went cold. He knew that roar. Every magician in the DC universe knew it. Gone, gone, O form of man. Arise, the demon Etrigan. Jason Blood's body twisted, reality warping around him as centuries of binding magic released its charge. Where the quiet historian had stood, now crouched something from hell's deepest pits. Yellow eyes, fanged mouth, claws that could shred steel. Etrigan the demon, bound to earth, ostensibly heroic, but demon nonetheless. The Slayer saw a demon. The Slayer reacted. He was on Etrigan before Constantine could shout a warning. Crucible blades screaming through air, super shotgun roaring. Etrigan barely dodged, hellfire erupting from his maw in response. The two titans crashed together in Gotham's darkness, and Constantine realized with crystal clarity that he hadn't summoned a hero. He'd summoned a war. If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them down in the comments below. Hope shines brightest in the darkest night. Somewhere in the Batcave, alarms were already screaming. In Titan's tower, Raven jerked awake from meditation, feeling something impossible, a presence that saw her demonic heritage and registered only target. And in the ruins of Constantine's summoning circle, hellfire still burned, spelling out a message in infernal script that translated simply. The Slayer walks. Hell trembles. The fight lasted 8 seconds. Constantine knew because he counted, watching two forces of nature collide with enough violence to crack the pavement beneath them. Etrigan moved with centuries of combat experience. Hellfire and claws, every strike calculated to kill. The Slayer moved like murder given form. Every action economy of motion refined through endless demon slaying. The crucible blade met Etrigan's claws in a shower of sparks that smelled like burning souls. Then the Slayer did something Constantine had never seen anyone do to Etrigan. He won. The demon staggered back, yellow eyes wide with something that might have been respect or fear. A line of energy burns crossed his chest where the crucible had connected. Not fatal. Etrigan was far too resilient, but enough to send a message. The Slayer stood ready, shotgun raised, finger on trigger, waiting, assessing whether the demon required additional killing. Stop. Zatanna's voice cracked with command magic, purple energy flaring between the combatants. Both of you stop. The Slayer's helmet turned toward her. The shotgun didn't waver. He's not your enemy, she said, voice steady despite the sweat on her brow. Containing these two was like trying to hold back tidal waves with her bare hands. Etrigan is bound to a human host. He fights for Earth, protects humanity. He's a hero. The Slayer's posture didn't change. Whatever metric he used to categorize demons, hero apparently wasn't a relevant variable. Constantine could see it in the way the warrior held himself. He'd killed thousands, maybe millions of demons. None of them had been heroes. Why should this one be different? A demon most foul, yet ally tried and true. Etrigan growled, his natural rhyming speech pattern strained. What walks in armor green, with hate that burns right through? Hell's champion or Hell's bane? Speak, warrior, what's your name? Silence. The Slayer said nothing, but his free hand moved to his helmet. For a moment, Constantine thought he might remove it, might speak. Instead, he tapped something on his wrist. A holographic display materialized. Alien technology interfacing with the armor. Coordinates. Energy signatures. A map of Gotham with red markers scattered across it like infection points. Demons. Dozens of them. Naren's breach had been worse than Constantine realized. The Slayer's helmet snapped toward the nearest marker, Crime Alley, 3 blocks north. Then he moved, dismissing them entirely, already focused on the next target. Etrigan was spared not because of Zatanna's magic or Constantine's words, but because there were more demons to kill. Priorities. We have to stop him, Zatanna said as the armored figure disappeared into Gotham's shadows. Stop him. Constantine lit another cigarette with shaking hands. Love, I don't think God himself could stop that thing. Besides, he's doing us a favor. Those demons were going to be a nightmare to clean up. He tried to kill Etrigan. Jason is our friend. And Etrigan is a demon, Constantine pointed out. Our green friend there doesn't seem to do. Nuance. He looked at the demon in question. You felt it, didn't you? When you fought him? Etrigan's yellow eyes narrowed. Power most profane, yet righteous in its way. He's killed before, will kill again, until his dying day. Hell fears him. Hell should. For he brings eternal night. No demon lives who's faced his wrath and lived to see the light. Constantine's phone buzzed. Batman. Of course Batman. The text was brief. Explain the armored combatant. Now, 20 minutes later, Constantine stood in the Batcave, trying to explain interdimensional, summoning to the world's greatest detective while Batman's cowled gaze bored into him like a drill. Zatanna had come along, mostly to prevent Batman from throwing Constantine into the cave's prison cells. Etrigan had returned to Jason Blood form, nursing his injuries with quiet dignity. You summoned an extra-dimensional killer into my city, Batman said, his voice the temperature of absolute zero. Without authorization, without consultation, without any containment protocol. In my defense, Constantine said, I was trying to solve your demon problem. Naren's been running wild. Your magic consultants were busy, and I found a spell that promised a champion who specialized in demon killing. How was I supposed to know I'd pull something out of literal demon hell's nightmares? Batman's jaw tightened. On the massive computer screen behind him, footage played, security cameras, traffic monitors, satellite feeds. The Doomslayer moving through Gotham like a force of nature. Every demon he encountered died. Quickly, violently, thoroughly. No hesitation. No mercy. No survivors. He's killed 17 demons in the last hour, Batman said. No attempt at interrogation. No restraint. Just execution. They're demons, mate. What did you want him to do? Read them their rights. I want him to stop killing in my city. Batman's voice dropped to a growl. I don't care what he is or where he's from. Gotham has laws. He follows them or I stop him. Constantine laughed. He couldn't help it. The sheer absurdity of Batman. Brilliant, skilled, peak human Batman. Thinking he could stop what Constantine had summoned. Right? You do that. Let me know how it goes. Constantine. You didn't feel what I felt, Constantine interrupted, his humor evaporating. When he stepped through that portal. I've been to hell, Batman. Multiple hells. I've met the devil himself. Shaken his hand, cheated him at cards. I know evil. I know power. He met Batman's eyes directly. That thing I summoned? He's killed more demons than exist in all of DC's hell dimensions combined. He's been doing it for so long that he doesn't remember being anything else. You can't stop him. You can only hope he decides you're not a demon. The Batcave fell silent except for the computer's rhythmic beeping. Batman turned back to the screens, watching the Slayer tear through another demon nest in the Bowery. After a long moment, he spoke. Then I'll find a way. I always do. In Crime Alley, where Bruce Wayne's parents had died decades ago, the Doomslayer stood over demon corpses and reloaded. His armor's systems pinged. More targets. Always more targets. This dimension was infested, corrupted, drowning in demonic presence. The humans here tried to coexist with demons, tried to categorize them as good or evil, tried to negotiate. There was no negotiation. There was only the mission. His helmet's display lit up with a new signature, different from the others. Massive, powerful, not in Gotham, somewhere called Jump City, approximately 200 miles south. The energy readings were off the charts. Half demon, the scanner reported. Female, young, target acquired. The Slayer began walking south. Behind him, Gotham's demons fled into the deepest shadows they could find, spreading word through Hell's networks. A new player had entered their game. An old player, older than their kind, who'd been killing demons when their dimension was still young. The Slayer had arrived, and in Hell's parliament across 1,000 dimensions, the word went out. Hide, flee, or die. There were no other options. Not anymore. Raven felt him coming 3 hours before he arrived. She was meditating in her room at Titan's Tower, floating cross-legged above her bed, maintaining the mental barriers that kept her father's influence at bay. Then something pierced through her concentration like a knife through silk. A presence so antithetical to her demonic heritage that her soul recoiled. Not divine, not holy, something worse. Something that existed purely to end things like her. She dropped to the bed, gasping, clutching her chest. Her empath abilities showed her flashes, green armor, Endless corridors of hell, mountains of demon corpses. A rage so absolute it had calcified into something harder than diamond. And underneath it all, a single imperative burned into this being's core essence. Kill. Rip. Tear. Raven. Starfire phased through the wall, concern radiating from her. The Tamaranian princess had been her closest friend since joining the Titans. One of the few who truly understood what it meant to fear yourself. You appear distressed. Should I summon the others? He's coming, Raven whispered. Something's coming. Something that kills demons. Is it your father? Has Trigon? No. Raven stood on shaking legs, pulling her hood up. Worse. This thing. It doesn't care about redemption or choice or fighting your nature. It just kills. And I'm half demon. Within 5 minutes, the Titans were assembled in the common room. Robin, Tim Drake, the third to wear the mantle, stood at the console, pulling up reports from Gotham. Beast Boy had shifted nervously between forms before settling on human. Cyborg's sensors were on full alert. Starfire hovered near Raven, protective energy already gathering in her hands. Batman sent a warning, Robin said, his voice tight. Constantine summoned something into Gotham. Some kind of interdimensional demon hunter. It's been killing every demon it encounters. No questions, no trials. Just execution. He looked at Raven. Batman thinks it's heading here. It is, Raven confirmed. I can feel it. It's locked onto me like a missile. My demonic energy is a beacon to it. Then we stop it, Cyborg said simply. Nobody threatens our team. You don't understand. Raven's voice cracked slightly. This isn't something you stop. Constantine summoned it specifically because nothing in DC's hell can kill it. It's been doing this for, I don't know how long. Centuries? Millennia? All it knows is killing demons. And you're not a demon, Starfire said firmly. You're Raven. You're our friend. You're a Titan. I'm half demon. That's all it will see. Robin's mind raced through scenarios, tactics, contingencies. Batman had trained him to think 10 steps ahead, to find weaknesses in any opponent. If it's coming, we prepare. Cyborg, lock down the tower's defenses. Starfire, be ready for heavy combat. Beast Boy, scout the perimeter. Raven, can you teleport us away if necessary? I can teleport myself, Raven said quietly. But he'll just follow. And if I run, he might hurt you trying to get to me. At least if I stay, I can try to prove I'm not like the demons he's fought. You're not facing this alone, Robin said with absolute certainty. That's not how Titans work. The Doomslayer reached Jump City as the sun set, painting the sky the color of hellfire. His armor systems had tracked the demon signature with perfect precision, leading him to a T-shaped tower in the middle of the bay. The structure radiated technology, advanced, sophisticated, far beyond what the primitive humans in the city possessed. Defenses activated as he approached, automated turrets rising from concealed positions. He didn't slow down. The turrets opened fire. Plasma rounds, energy beams, projectiles designed to stop metahuman threats. The Predator suit's shields absorbed the damage without strain. He'd walked through worse on Mars and Hell, in dimensions where reality itself tried to kill him. This was nothing. He reached the tower's entrance and punched through the reinforced door. The metal crumpled like aluminum foil. Inside, they were waiting for figures arrayed defensively, protecting a fifth, the demon he'd tracked. She was smaller than expected, humanoid, wearing a cloak that couldn't hide the wrongness of her energy signature. Half demon, his sensors confirmed. Daughter of something massive, something that existed across multiple dimensions. A Helllord spawn. Stop right there, the one in the red and black suit said. Young, male, trained fighter. Leader, we don't want trouble, but if you're here to hurt our teammate, you're going through all of us. The Slayer's response was to unsling his super shotgun. Wait. The green one shifted forms rapidly, animal shapeshifter. Interesting, trying to appear non-threatening. Dude, can we just talk about this? I mean, Raven's not evil. She fights demons. She's literally fighting her demon dad, like, all the time. She's one of the good guys. Good demons. They kept saying that. As if goodness and demonkind could coexist. As if hell's corruption could be resisted. The Slayer had seen countless demons lie, manipulate, pretend at virtue. He'd killed them all. Their deceptions died with them. Please, the cloaked one. Raven stepped forward, pushing past her protectors. I know what you are. I can feel it. You've killed thousands of my kind. maybe millions. And I understand why. Her voice was steady despite the terror radiating from her aura. But I'm not them. I was born half human. I've spent my entire life fighting my demonic nature. I use my powers to protect people, to stop my father from destroying this dimension. The Slayer's helmet tilted slightly. His scanner provided data, elevated heart rate, genuine fear, but also something else. Her energy signature was conflicted, at war with itself. The demonic half constantly pushing, the human half constantly resisting. She was a battlefield, and unlike every demon he'd ever encountered, the human side was winning. My name is Raven, she continued, pulling back her hood to reveal violet eyes that held both darkness and desperate hope. I'm a Teen Titan. I've saved this world multiple times. I've died protecting humans from demons, including my own father. If you're going to kill me because of what I am, then I won't stop you. But know that you'll be killing someone who spent her entire existence fighting hell. The Slayer stood motionless. His finger rested on the trigger. One squeeze. The demon spawn would die before her protectors could react. Mission complete. Target eliminated. But something nagged at him. Something in her words. In the way her companions positioned themselves without hesitation to die for her. In Argent Nur, before hell had taken everything, there had been the Night Sentinels. Brothers and sisters who stood together against darkness. Who died for each other not because they were commanded, but because it was right. These young warriors had that same energy, and they were protecting the demon. His helmet's display showed energy signature in detail. The demonic half was powerful, yes, but it was contained, suppressed, constantly battled by the human consciousness. She was what she claimed, a war between heaven and hell made flesh. And the human side was winning through sheer force of will. He'd never seen that before. The Slayer lowered his weapon fractionally. Not holstered, not surrendered, but lowered. A temporary stay of execution. He would watch. He would assess. If she fell to her demonic nature. If the darkness won even for a moment, he would end her. But for now, he would wait. Oh, thank God. Beast Boy exhaled. The Slayer's helmet snapped toward him, and the shapeshifter yelped, hiding behind Cyborg. The message was clear. This wasn't mercy. This was observation. The moment Raven proved herself a threat, nothing would stop what came next. Thank you, Raven whispered. And the Slayer detected genuine gratitude. Strange. Demons didn't thank their hunters. Robin's communicator buzzed. Batman's voice crackled through. Robin, status report. Is the demon hunter at your location? Yeah, Robin said, eyeing the armored warrior warily. And he's standing down. For now, keep him contained. I'm sending. A new alarm shrieked through the tower's systems. Cyborg's eyes widened as data streamed across his internal displays. Oh no. No, no, no. We've got a massive energy spike downtown. Demonic signature, class Omega level threat. On the screen, reality tore open above Jump City's financial district. A portal, vast and terrible, vomiting forth creatures of nightmare. And through it stepped something that made even Raven's blood run cold with recognition. Trigon, she whispered. My father's sent an advance force. He's testing this dimension's defenses. The Doom Slayer turned toward the window, toward the portal spewing demons into the city. His armor's systems cataloged the threats, hundreds of lesser demons, dozens of Hell Knights, and something massive still emerging from the rift. His weapons primed automatically. The BFG 9000 powered up with a sound like reality screaming. He looked at Raven once more. Then he jumped through the tower's window, falling 40 stories toward the bay below. His thrusters engaged halfway down, redirecting his trajectory toward the city center, toward the demons, toward the fight. Did he just? Beast Boy stared. He's going to fight an army, Cyborg said, sensors tracking the Slayer's approach. Alone. Then we help him, Robin said, already moving. Titans go. As the team mobilized, Raven stood at the window, watching the green-armored warrior rocket toward her father's invasion force. She'd spent her life fearing Trigon's demons, containing her own darkness, fighting an endless war against hell. For the first time, she wondered what hell feared. She was about to find out. The Doom Slayer hit the demon horde like a meteor wrapped in rage. He landed in the center of Jump City's financial district where reality had torn itself apart, the portal above vomiting creatures that shouldn't exist into a world unprepared for them. Lesser demons, the foot soldiers of hell, all claws and teeth and mindless hunger, turned toward him as one. They recognized what he was. Some primal instinct, coded into their essence across dimensions, screamed a single word: run. They didn't run fast enough. The super shotgun roared, each blast erasing demons from existence. He moved through them like a dancer. Every step calculated, every motion economy of violence. A demon lunged from the left. He caught it midair, twisted, and slammed it into the pavement with enough force to crack concrete. His boot came down on its skull. Glory kill. Argent energy flowed into his armor, replenishing shields. Ammunition materializing in his weapons from pure absorbed power. More demons. Always more. He switched to the heavy assault rifle. Precision shots dropping Hell Knights before they could close distance. A Mancubus, massive, bloated. Arm cannons already firing. Took 3 rockets and a chainsaw bisection. Black ichor sprayed across abandoned cars and storefronts. Dude is straight up insane, Beast Boy said through the Titan's comms. Watching from a rooftop 3 blocks away. He'd shifted to pterodactyl form for aerial reconnaissance. He's killing them faster than I can count. Scan complete, Cyborg reported. His systems analyzing the warrior's capabilities in real time. That armor's reading off the charts. Energy absorption, self-repair. Weapon systems I don't even have classifications for. And that big gun he's carrying. His sensors pinged with alarm. Is charging up something that's making my radiation detectors scream. The BFG 9000. The Slayer had pulled it from his back. The weapon humming with barely contained argent plasma. He aimed at the cluster of demons pouring through the portal. At the massive shape still emerging from Hell's depths. His finger tightened on the trigger. Everyone get down. Raven shouted, her empathy sensing the weapon's apocalyptic intent. The BFG fired. Green death erupted from the barrel. A sphere of weaponized plasma that flew toward the demon cluster in a lazy arc. For a moment, it seemed almost gentle. Then the tendrils began. Streams of energy lanced out from the sphere, seeking demon flesh with predatory hunger. Every tendril found a target. Every target exploded from the inside out. 43 demons died in 2.7 seconds. The plasma sphere hit the portal itself and detonated. Reality screamed. The dimensional rift buckled, destabilizing in the massive shape, trying to force its way through. Something ancient and terrible, one of Trigon's greater servants, was caught halfway. The portal collapsed on it like a dimensional guillotine. Its shriek echoed across 3 planes of existence before being cut to silence. The Slayer stood in a street painted with demon remains. BFG cooling, already scanning for additional threats. His armor reported, 17 demons remaining. Acceptable odds. Bizal, Starfire whispered, hovering beside Robin. I have witnessed warfare across galaxies. I have never seen such efficient destruction. Robin's tactical mind was already adapting strategies. He's not just killing them. He's reading the battlefield in real time, prioritizing targets, using their own momentum against them. Batman fights like this, but not with that level of raw power. He fights like me, Raven said quietly, floating beside them. Like someone who's been at war so long they can't remember peace. Except I fight to contain. He fights to end. The remaining demons had regrouped around a Hell Baron, 12 feet of muscle, horn, and hellfire. The Baron roared a challenge, drawing itself to full height, trying to intimidate the small warrior in green armor. In Hell's hierarchy, Barons commanded legions. They were generals of the damned, beings of immense power who'd broken civilizations. The Doomslayer pulled out his crucible blade. Energy crackled along its length, red and furious. He didn't roar back, didn't posture, simply walked forward, inexorable as death itself. The Hell Baron charged. 15 tons of demonic rage. Hellfire streaming from its maw. Claws extended to eviscerate. The Slayer sidestepped. At the last possible moment, too. Fast for something. In that armor, and the crucible, blade swept through the Baron's torso, like it was made of smoke. The demon froze mid-roar, bisected, its essence unraveling. It collapsed in 2 pieces that began dissolving into black ash. The remaining demons broke, turned, fled. Survival instinct finally overriding. Hell's imperative to kill. They scattered into Jump City's alleys and sewers, seeking any darkness deep enough to hide from the thing that had just killed. A Hell Baron like it was nothing. The Slayer let them run. His scanner tracked their trajectories. He would hunt them later. First, containment. The portal was closed, but the dimensional wound remained. If it wasn't sealed properly, more demons could breach through. He approached the tear in reality, pulling a device from his belt, Sentinel technology, ancient beyond measure. Wait, Raven materialized from shadows beside him. He spun, crucible raised. But she deliberately appeared just outside striking range. Cautious. Smart. That dimensional wound. I can seal it. It's what I do. My soul self can close rifts between dimensions. The Slayer assessed her. The demon spawn offering to close a Hellgate. Suspicious. But his scanners showed the truth. Her energy signature was uniquely suited to dimensional manipulation. She could seal it faster and more thoroughly than his Sentinel tech. He lowered the blade, stepped back, gestured, proceed. Raven blinked in surprise. You? Trust me. Trust was irrelevant. Effectiveness mattered. If she betrayed that trust, he would kill her before her heart beat twice more. She seemed to understand this without words, reading it in his posture or perhaps through her empathy. Right? Okay. She floated toward the dimensional wound, dark energy manifesting around her. Azarath Metrian Zinthos. Her soul self, a massive raven made of dark energy, erupted from her body and dove into the rift. The Slayer watched, crucible ready, as demonic and human power wove together to seal Hell's intrusion. It was fascinating in a clinical way. She wielded her demon heritage like a weapon against itself, using Hell's own energy to close Hell's doorway. The rift sealed with a sound like reality, sighing in relief. Raven sagged, exhausted, and the Slayer caught her before she hit the ground. For a moment, they stood frozen, demon killer and demon spawn, an impossibility made manifest. His helmet scanner showed her vital signs, elevated but stable. The act of sealing the rift had drained her severely but caused no permanent damage. And more importantly, no corruption. Using her demonic power hadn't strengthened her dark half. She'd maintained absolute control. Impressive. He set her down carefully as the other Titans arrived. Beast Boy shifting to human form. Cyborg's weapons still powered up. Robin landing with perfect acrobatic precision. Starfire glowing with barely restrained energy. Is everyone okay? Robin asked, his detective's gaze sweeping the carnage. Raven. Fine. She managed, leaning against a demolished car. Just tired. The rift sealed. No more demons coming through. At least not here. Not here. Cyborg's sensors pinged. Oh man. I'm detecting 7 more rifts opening across the city. Smaller, but the Slayer was already moving, rocket boosting toward the nearest signature. No rest. No hesitation. Demons remained. The mission continued. We should help him, Starfire said. He fights our enemy. That makes him ally, yes. Maybe, Robin said carefully. Or it makes us convenient. Batman's warning was clear. This thing doesn't distinguish between good and evil. It only sees demons and everything else. Then we prove we're everything else, Beast Boy said, by helping him kill the actual bad demons. Come on, we can't let him have all the fun. They followed the trail of destruction to the second rift, where the Slayer was already engaged with a fresh wave of demons. He fought with the same mechanical precision, but the Titans noticed something. He'd adapted his tactics. He was funneling the demons into kill zones, positioning himself to protect fleeing civilians without breaking his assault rhythm. Efficient, strategic, not mindless slaughter, calculated. Demon elimination while minimizing collateral damage. Robin joined first, his bow staff cracking demon skulls with precise strikes. On your 6. The Slayer didn't acknowledge him verbally, but his positioning shifted to cover Robin's flanks. Unconscious cooperation. Starfire's starbolts incinerated demons that tried to flank their position. Beast Boy shifted to gorilla form and literally threw a Hell Knight into Cyborg's sonic cannon blast. And Raven, still exhausted, used her dark energy to protect civilians, teleporting panicked families out of the combat zone. The Slayer noticed. Marked it. The demon spawn was using her power to save humans. Repeatedly. Without hesitation. The battle lasted another 40 minutes. 7 rifts. Hundreds of demons. By the time Jump City's emergency services arrived, accompanied by several Justice League response teams, the threat was contained. The Doom Slayer stood in the center of it all, armor scorched and dented but functional, surrounded by dissolved demon corpses. With 4 young heroes watching his back, Superman landed first, cape billowing, his presence commanding immediate attention. The Man of Steel surveyed the destruction with barely concealed concern. Who's responsible for this? The demons, Robin said carefully. He stopped them. Superman's gaze locked onto the Slayer. X-ray vision, super hearing. All of his Kryptonian senses analyzing the armored figure. What he saw troubled him deeply. I'm going to need you to come with me. We have questions about what happened in Gotham. About the demons you've killed, about. The Slayer turned and walked away. Simply dismissed. The most powerful being on the planet, and started walking toward the next demon signature. His scanner had identified 12 miles east. I wasn't finished, Superman said, his voice hardening. He moved to block the Slayer's path, standing immovable. I understand you've been fighting demons, but you can't just kill your way through my world without answering for. The Slayer didn't slow down. Walked directly into Superman. Or would have, if Superman hadn't been pushed back 3 steps by the sheer inexorable force of the armored warrior's momentum. Not super strength. Something else. Something that said, you are not a demon. Therefore you are not my concern. Therefore you do not exist as an obstacle. Superman's eyes flared red, heat vision charging. Last warning. Stand down. The Slayer's hand moved to his BFG. Wait. Raven phased between them, exhausted but desperate. Please, both of you. Superman, he just saved my city. Save me. He could have killed me. I'm half demon, but he didn't. He helped us fight Trigon's invasion. He's not our enemy. He's killed 17 demons in Gotham, Superman said. Heat vision fading, but voice still stern. Without trial, without determining if they were threats, just execution. That's not how we do things on Earth. Those demons were eating people, Cyborg interjected. Our scans confirmed it. Everything he killed in Gotham was actively hunting humans. Superman's jaw tightened. The moral calculus was more complex than he'd thought. He looked at the Slayer again, really looked. Saw armor that had been through countless battles. Weapons maintained with obsessive care. And a posture that spoke of endless war. This wasn't a killer who enjoyed violence. This was a soldier who'd never been allowed to stop fighting. Fine, Superman said finally. But this conversation isn't over. Batman wants to meet with you. The Justice League needs to understand what you are and what you want. The Slayer's helmet tilted. His gauntlet manipulated the holographic display, bringing up new data, 247 demon signatures across the continent. Some weak, some strong. All targets. He pointed at the display, then at himself, then swept his hand across the map. The message was crystal clear. I am here to kill demons. All of them. That is the only thing I want. Then we'll help you, Raven said quietly. But on one condition. You let me teach you the difference between demons like the ones you just killed, and demons like me, like Etrigan, like others who fight their nature and choose to protect humanity. The Slayer stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded once. It wasn't agreement. It was acknowledgement. He would observe. He would assess. And if she or any good demon fell, if the darkness won even for an instant, he would be there. Crucible ready. Mercy forgotten. But for now, he would watch. And hell, watching through the eyes of its scattered survivors, trembled at what it saw. The Slayer had found allies in a universe where demons walked as heroes. The apocalypse had learned to cooperate. Nothing in Hell's infinite databases had prepared them for that. The Watchtower hung in geosynchronous orbit above Earth, a monument to heroism and humanity's best defenders. Batman stood in the observation deck, arms crossed, watching the Javelin 7 transport approach with its unusual cargo. Behind him, Wonder Woman sharpened her sword with methodical precision while Flash vibrated anxiously in place. Green Lantern Hal Jordan floated near the viewing port, ring ready. Martian Manhunter stood silent as death, red eyes unreadable. I still think this is a terrible idea, Flash said for the 3rd time. We're bringing an interdimensional murderer onto our space station, our home base, where we keep all our secrets and tactical data. He's not a murderer, Superman said, entering from the corridor. He'd escorted the transport personally, staying close enough to intervene if necessary. Raven vouched for him. The Titans worked alongside him in Jump City. He protected civilians while eliminating genuine threats. He also tried to kill Etrigan, Batman said flatly. Jason Blood is an ally. A friend. This Slayer saw a demon and attacked without question. What happens when he encounters Etrigan again? Or when he learns about Raven's father? Or when he discovers that some of our dimensional allies have infernal origins? Then we establish boundaries, Wonder Woman said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. We are warriors here, Batman. We understand the nature of those who have fought too long in darkness. This Slayer has been at war with hell itself. Of course he sees demons as irredeemable. We must show him the complexity of our world. Or we send him back to wherever Constantine summoned him from, Hal suggested. Close the door, lock it, problem solved. Can't. Constantine's voice crackled through the comm system. He was patched in from the House of Mystery, unwilling to personally face Batman's wrath again. The dimensional breach has collapsed. Sending him back would require another summoning ritual. And frankly, after seeing what he can do, I'm not sure Hell would take him back. They're probably happier with him here. The transport docked. Airlock cycled. The Doom Slayer walked into the watchtower flanked by the Teen Titans, who'd insisted on accompanying him. Raven had explained it simply. He doesn't trust easily, but he's learned we're not threats. Let us bridge the gap. The Justice League's heavy hitters faced down the armored warrior in the watchtower's main conference room. For a moment, silence reigned. Two groups of protectors, separated by philosophy and method, assessing each other for threat potential. Batman spoke first. I'm Batman. We need to establish ground rules for your presence on Earth. The Slayer's helmet turned toward him. The Dark Knight felt the assessment, cold and tactical. Threat level, minimal. Demon status, negative. Classification, irrelevant to mission. Batman recognized the dismissal for what it was and bristled internally. Rule 1. Batman continued, voice hardening. You do not kill without authorization from myself, Superman, or Wonder Woman. Every demon you encounter must be evaluated. The Slayer turned away, already walking toward the watchtower's observation windows. His dismissal was absolute. Batman's rules meant nothing. Authorization was irrelevant. Demons died. That was the only rule that mattered. Hey! Flash zipped in front of him, vibrating at frequencies designed to be intimidating. Bats is talking to you. You don't just ignore the world's greatest detective when he's... The Slayer walked through him, literally phased through Flash's vibrational form without slowing. His armor's energy field, disrupting the speedster's molecules, enough to force solidity. Flash stumbled, shocked. Nobody just walked through a speedster. That wasn't how physics worked. Okay, Hal said, green energy constructs forming around his fists. That's enough. You're in our house now, and you're going to show some respect, or we're going to. Stop. Superman stepped between them, hands raised peacefully. Everyone stop. This isn't working. We're approaching this wrong. He turned to the Slayer, meeting the helmet's dark visor at eye level. I know you can't speak, or won't. That's fine. But we need to understand each other. You're in a different universe now. Things work differently here. Demons aren't all evil. Some fight for good. Some protect humanity. If you kill them, you're killing heroes. That makes you a murderer, regardless of your intentions. The Slayer pulled up his holographic display, fingers moving with practiced efficiency. Text appeared, translated by his armor's systems into English. Demons lie. Demons manipulate. Demons pretend. Virtue. I have killed millions. None were innocent. Then you haven't met Raven, Robin said, stepping forward. Or Etrigan. Or any of the dozen. Half-demons and reformed Hellspawn who've saved this world repeatedly. Your experience doesn't define our reality. Your reality is infected, compromised. You coexist with corruption and call it peace. I have seen this before. IT always ends the same. With what? Wonder Woman asked, genuinely curious. How does it end? Everyone dies. The demons win. Because you hesitated. Because you believe their lies. Because you thought you were different. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. The Slayer's armor systems brought up footage, his footage, stored in the Predator suit's memory banks. Images of civilizations fallen to hell, worlds consumed, species extinct, all because they'd tried to negotiate, to coexist, to believe that some demons could be redeemed. Argent Nur appeared on screen. Beautiful once, a civilization of warrior priests who'd held back hell for eons. Then they tried diplomacy, tried understanding, tried mercy. The footage showed the end result. Cities burning, Night Sentinels dying, hell victorious. The Slayer let it play for 30 seconds, then cut it off. I was one of them. I believed demons could be reasoned with. My world died for that belief. Martian Manhunter finally spoke, his telepathic voice resonating directly in everyone's minds. Your pain is profound, your loss immeasurable, but you are not an Argent Nur anymore. This Earth has successfully maintained balance with infernal forces for millennia. Our methods work. Until they don't. He has a point, Batman said quietly. Constantine's files show 17 apocalyptic demon invasions. In the last decade alone, Trigon nearly succeeded in conquering our dimension 3 times. Naren's Hell Parliament constantly schemes against us. We maintain balance, but it's precarious. So what? Flash said. We just start killing every demon we meet. Raven's half-demon. Do we kill her too? Where's the line? The Slayer pointed at Raven. Text appeared. She fights her nature. Successfully. For now. If she falls, I will end her. This is mercy. Raven went pale, but nodded slowly. I understand. If I ever lose control, if Trigon takes over, I'd want someone to stop me. Permanently. That's not a threat. That's a promise I wish my friends would make. Raven, Starfire began, horrified. He's right, Star. You've seen what happens when I lose control. Remember the simulation? Remember what I became? If that ever happens for real. She looked at the Slayer directly. Thank you for having the strength to do what my friends can't. Superman looked between them, deeply troubled. There has to be another way. Redemption. Containment. Something other than execution. Redemption is a lie demons tell. Containment is temporary. Execution is final. Eternal. Safe. No, Wonder Woman said firmly, her warrior's wisdom cutting through. Redemption is not a lie. I have seen it. I have lived it. Ares, god of war, once sought only slaughter. Now he occasionally fights beside us. Circe, sorceress and monster, has saved innocence when it suited her. Change is possible, even for those touched by darkness. Gods are not demons. Aren't they? Hal interjected. Demons are just beings from hell dimensions. Gods are beings from divine dimensions. What's the real difference except power and marketing? The Slayer paused. The question had substance. His helmet tilted, processing. His entire mission had been built on a simple binary, demon versus not demon. But this universe complicated that. Gods walked as mortals. Demons fought as heroes. The categories he'd relied on for eons were blurring. Cyborg sensors pinged urgently. Guys, we've got a situation. Major demonic energy spike in Gotham. Constantine's calling it a Code Crimson, whatever the hell that means. It means run. Constantine's voice crackled through comms. Naren's making his move. He's opened a gateway directly into Gotham's underground. We're talking thousands of demons, maybe tens of thousands. This isn't a raid. This is an invasion. Full bloody conquest. The Slayer was moving before Constantine finished speaking, heading toward the transport bay. No discussion needed. Demons detected. Mission parameters clear. Wait. Batman called out. We need a plan. Coordination. Strategy. The Slayer stopped, turned, and his holographic display lit up with a tactical map of Gotham. His armor had been passively scanning the city since his arrival, building three-dimensional layouts, identifying structural weaknesses, plotting optimal firing positions. The map was more detailed than anything in the Batcomputer. Within seconds, he'd marked entry points, choke zones, civilian evacuation routes, and kill boxes. Then he highlighted a single location in Gotham's deepest underground, the gateway's source. His gauntlet drew a line from the watchtower to that location. Simple. Direct. I go there. I close it. Anything else is distraction. You'll be outnumbered 1,000 to 1, Flash said. Even you can't. The Slayer pulled up his combat statistics. Numbers scrolled past. 2,547,983. Demons killed across his service. Survival rate, 100%. Mission failure rate, 0%. The numbers spoke for themselves. Batman studied the tactical map, his detective's mind already seeing the brilliance in the Slayers' approach. He's right. We've been fighting demon invasions reactively, containing breaches, evacuating civilians. He's proposing we go on offense. Cut the head off the snake. It's suicide, Superman said. One warrior against an army? Even with his capabilities. He won't be alone, Robin interrupted. Titans are in. If he's going into Hell's Gateway, we're going with him. As am I, Wonder Woman said, buckling her sword belt. I have fought beside Amazons in wars against Hades himself. This is no different. A warrior fights where warriors are needed. The Watchtower's sensors can track the demonic energy, Cyborg added. I can coordinate support fire from up here, guide you through the underground. The Slayer nodded once. Acceptable. He'd fought alone for so long he'd forgotten what it meant to have allies. These heroes were soft in some ways, bound by rules that handicapped efficiency, but they were competent. And more importantly, they were willing to walk into hell beside him. That earned something. Not trust. Not yet. But recognition. Batman activated the transport systems. I'll mobilize the Bat family to handle demon containment topside. Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, aerial containment, and civilian evacuation. Manhunter, work with Constantine on sealing secondary rifts. Wonder Woman, Titans, you're with our guest on the Gateway assault. One question, Hal said as they moved to their positions. What happens after we close this gateway? Are you going to keep hunting every demon on Earth? Because that list includes allies. The Slayer's response was simple. Show me a demon that remains. Good. Truly good. For more than this battle. Show me one that doesn't fall to its nature. When tempted, prove your world is different. Then I will believe. It wasn't much, but it was more than anyone expected. A chance. An opportunity to prove that DC's universe operated on different rules than the Countless. Hell's the Slayer had burned through. As the transport launched toward Gotham, carrying a strike team into the teeth of Hell's greatest invasion, Raven meditated silently. She'd felt Trigon's presence in the demonic energy spike. Her father was watching this battle, assessing threats, planning his next move. And he'd taken particular interest in the green-armored warrior who killed demons the way others breathed. Trigon had ruled hell dimensions for eons. He'd conquered 1,000 worlds. He'd broken civilizations and consumed souls beyond counting. But he'd never fought someone who'd made demon killing into an art form, perfected across dimensions. The collision between Hell's Lord and Hell's Reaper was inevitable now. Raven just hoped the universe survived it. Below, Gotham burned. Demons poured through ancient sewers and abandoned subway tunnels, flooding the city's underbelly. GCPD officers fired uselessly at creatures that shrugged off bullets. Buildings collapsed as greater demons tested their strength against human architecture. And in the Batcave, Alfred Pennyworth calmly loaded weapons while Master Bruce suited up, his cowl's white eyes reflecting dancing flames. Master Bruce, Alfred said with perfect British composure. Shall I prepare the hell-specific armaments? Everything, Alfred. Batman's voice was gravel and determination. Tonight, we're going to war. Above it all, the Doomslayer checked his weapons one final time. BFG charged. Crucible ready. Super shotgun loaded. Armor at 100%. Gotham's demons thought they were invading. They were wrong. They just walked into his cathedral. The transport descended through clouds of ash and smoke, dropping toward Gotham's industrial district where reality had torn itself inside out. Wonder Woman stood at the viewport, her warrior's eyes taking in the scope of the disaster. Entire city blocks crawled with demonic infestation, imps scurrying across rooftops, Hell Knights patrolling streets that should have been filled with fleeing humans, and something massive moving through the destroyed buildings near the waterfront. Athena's wisdom, she breathed. This is coordinated. Tactical. These demons aren't mindless beasts. They're an army. Beside her, the Doomslayers. Armor systems painted targeting. Data across his HUD. Priority. Threats identified. Strategic value assessed. Kill order established. His gauntlet moved across the holographic display, marking positions with brutal efficiency. He'd fought demon armies before. The tactics were always the same. Establish beachhead. Fortify position, expand territory. Standard invasion protocol across 1,000 dimensions, which meant the response was also standard. Identify command structure. Eliminate leadership, collapse offensive through strategic decapitation. The gateway's 12 levels down. Cyborg's voice crackled through the comms from the watchtower. Old Gotham catacombs, pre-Wayne Foundation infrastructure. Constantine says Naren's been preparing this for months. Ritual circles, blood sacrifices, the works. He's not just opening a door. He's building a permanent bridge. Then we burn the bridge, Robin said, checking his explosive batarangs. The Titans occupied the transport's combat deck, each preparing in their own way. Beast Boy shifted between forms nervously. Starfire's hands glowed with barely restrained starbolts. Raven meditated, her dark energy coiling around her like protective smoke. The Slayer pulled a device from his belt, a Sentinel rune. Ancient technology from Argent Nur. He'd used these to close Hellgates across dimensions. But this universe's hell operated on different principles. Magic and ritual rather than pure Argent corruption. He'd need help. He held it out to Raven. She opened her eyes, startled. You want me to? The Slayer nodded. Her demonic heritage understood. Hell's architecture in ways his technology couldn't fully interface with. Combined, they could seal the gateway permanently. Separately, they might only achieve temporary closure. Cooperation, Wonder Woman said approvingly. You learn quickly. The transport shuddered as something massive struck it from below. Alarms shrieked. Through the viewport, a demonic mancubus rose on technological wings. Arm cannons already firing superheated plasma at the vessel's hull. We're hit. The pilot, Green Arrow, providing air support, shouted. Hull integrity at 60%. We need to. The Slayer didn't wait for the sentence to finish. He punched through the transport side door, explosive decompression howling around him, and dropped toward the flying demon. His rocket boots engaged mid-fall, trajectory correcting, and he slammed into the mancubus like a meteor. They plummeted together, the demon's wings shredding under the Slayer's gauntlet grip. They hit the street in an explosion of concrete and demon flesh. The Slayer rose from the crater, the mancubus twitching its last beneath him. Glory kill. Argent energy surged into his systems. Around him, dozens of demons turned toward the impact site, drawn by the commotion. Slayer down. Robin shouted into comms. We need to. No. Wonder Woman was already at the transport's emergency hatch, preparing to jump. He didn't fall. He deployed. Follow his lead. Titans, go. They dropped from the damaged transport like vengeful angels, each hitting the demon-infested streets in their own way. Starfire flew, starbolts turning imps to ash. Beast Boy became a Tyrannosaurus, jaws closing on Hell Knights. Robin's grapnel carried him across rooftops, batarangs finding demonic eyes with perfect precision. Cyborg's sonic cannon carved paths through clusters of lesser demons. And Raven teleported directly to the Slayer's position, her soul self, manifesting as a shield against the hellfire raining from all directions. The gateway, she said simply, pointing toward a collapsed section of street where demonic energy boiled. Up from the depths. I can feel it. 12 levels down, but there's a direct route through that sinkhole. The Slayer checked his scanner. Confirmed. The demon density increased exponentially toward that location. Standard behavior. Protect the gateway at all costs. Which meant the path forward would be hell itself concentrated into 12 levels of vertical descent. Perfect. He started walking toward the sinkhole. Demons moved to intercept. He killed them without breaking stride. Super shotgun, plasma rifle, rocket launcher, each weapon deployed at optimal range. The other heroes formed up around him, creating a spearhead formation that carved through the demonic horde, like a blade through rotten flesh. Left flank, Robin called out, noting a squad of Hell Knights attempting to outflank their position. Wonder Woman's lasso caught 3 simultaneously, whipping them into each other with bone-crushing force before her sword ended. Their existence with clean, practice strikes. Handled. Maintained forward momentum. They reached the sinkhole, a wound in Gotham's flesh that descended into absolute darkness punctuated by hellfire. The Slayer's helmet systems switched to thermal imaging, mapping the descent route. 12 levels. Hundreds of demons between surface and gateway. Structural integrity compromised throughout. That's a kill box, Robin said grimly. We go down there, we're trapped. Single file, no room to maneuver, demons above and below. Tactically, it's suicide. The Slayer's response was to jump into the hole. Or we do that. Beast Boy shifted to pterodactyl form and dove after him. Why does nobody ever like the safe plan? The descent was chaos wrapped in hellfire. Demons clung to the walls, dropping onto the strike team as they fell through level after level of Gotham's forgotten infrastructure. The Slayer fired continuously, his weapons never running dry. Each demon kill replenishing ammunition through Argent absorption. It was a perpetual motion machine of violence. Level 3, abandoned subway station, now a demon nest. The Slayer hit the platform, rolled, came up firing. Chainsaw through a Hell Knight. Crucible through 2 imps. Rocket into a cluster of possessed humans. No, not humans anymore. The demonic corruption had consumed them completely. No salvation possible. Level 5, old speakeasy from Prohibition era, still decorated with rotting furniture. Starfire's star bolts lit the space like a new sun, incinerating demons that had been using the location as a breeding ground. The smell was indescribable. Level 7, mass grave from some forgotten disaster. Bones everywhere, and demons had animated them. Skeletal warriors with hellfire eyes. Raven's dark energy swept through them like a scythe. Her face set in grim determination. Azarath, Metrian Zinthos. The skeletons collapsed to component parts. Level 9, ritual chamber. Fresh blood painted sigils across every surface. Human corpses arranged in geometric patterns. Constantine's voice crackled through increasingly unstable comms. That's a charging ritual. They're funneling souls to empower something big. Something really, really big. Whatever's at level 12, it's not just a gateway anymore. Level 11, they hit resistance. 50 demons, organized into defensive positions, with a Hell Baron commanding them. The Baron stood 8 feet tall, horns scraping the ceiling, hellfire dancing between its claws. It roared a challenge that echoed through the catacombs. And the organized demons raised weapons, not natural claws, but forged arms, swords, spears, armor. They're equipped, Cyborg said, his sensors analyzing the demonic gear. That's not hell-grown weaponry. Someone's been supplying them. Someone on Earth. The Baron pointed at the strike team and spoke in a voice like grinding stone. The Lord Naren sends his regards. Heroes of Earth, you fight bravely. You die nobly. Your souls will fuel the gateway's completion. Wonder Woman stepped forward, her sword reflecting hellfire. I have fought demons since the age of myths. I have walked through Hades itself and emerged triumphant. You will not take this city. You will not take these people. And you will not survive this day. The Baron laughed. I have killed Amazons before, Princess. Your corpse will join. The Doomslayer shot it in the face. The BFG blast erased the Baron from existence mid-speech. The plasma sphere continued past, detonating against the demon defensive line. Tendrils of energy-seeking targets with predatory hunger. 23 demons died in the explosion. The remaining 27 broke ranks, discipline evaporating. The Slayer walked through the carnage, reloading methodically. No theatrics, no warnings. Demons received nothing but death. They'd had their chance to speak. They'd wasted it. Efficient, Wonder Woman said with genuine respect. Brutal, but efficient. Level 12 opened before them. A cathedral of corruption. The chamber was massive, carved from bedrock, with a ceiling that rose 50 feet overhead. Gothic architecture twisted into obscene shapes. And in the center, the gateway, a tear in reality 15 feet wide, stabilized by ritual circles and human sacrifice, pulsing with energy that made even the Slayer's armor protest. Guarding it stood Naren himself. The demon lord appeared almost human, handsome, dressed in an immaculate suit, with only the yellow eyes and pointed smile betraying his infernal nature. He was one of Hell's dealmakers, a merchant of corruption who'd tempted and destroyed countless heroes over the years. Constantine had warned them. Naren didn't fight if he could manipulate, didn't kill if he could corrupt. Welcome, Naren said, his voice smooth as poisoned honey. The Justice League's finest, alongside a curious anomaly. The Doomslayer, yes? I've heard tales from other hells. The demon who kills demons. The rage that walks. Fascinating. The Slayer raised his super shotgun. Wait. Naren held up a hand, laughing. Don't you want to know why I'm doing this? Why I've opened a permanent gateway between Hell and Gotham? No, Raven said flatly. We're here to close it and end you. Pragmatic. I like that. Naren's smile widened. But before we engage in tedious violence, let me make an offer. You, Slayer. You want to kill demons, yes? That's your purpose. Your mission. Your entire existence. The Slayer didn't respond, but his weapons didn't lower. I can give you that, Naren continued. Contract with me. Serve as my enforcer. I'll open gateways to every hell dimension in the multiverse. Infinite demons. Eternal war. Everything you've ever wanted. Fighting forever against endless enemies. Never stopping, never questioning. Pure purpose. For a moment, silence. The offer hung in the air like a noose. Robin tensed, unsure how the warrior would respond. This was exactly what demons did. They found your desire and twisted it. Made evil look like righteousness. Made corruption look like purpose. The Doomslayer's response was to pull out his crucible blade. I'll take that as a no, Naren sighed. Pity. Then I suppose we do this the tedious way. He snapped his fingers. The gateway erupted with demonic energy. Through it poured demons unlike anything they'd fought before, greater demons. Hell barons, archviles radiating resurrection energy, and something massive beginning to push through from the other side. Kill the heroes, Naren commanded. But bring me the Slayer alive. I want him broken, corrupted, rebuilt as my perfect weapon. After all, his smile turned vicious. What better way to control demon killing than to control the demon killer? The battle exploded across level 12. Wonder Woman met the first wave with Amazonian fury, her sword singing through demon flesh, her bracelets deflecting hellfire. Starfire and Cyborg provided covering fire, their energy attacks creating zones of denial. Beast Boy became a raging bear, then a swarm of wasps, adapting constantly. Robin's mind worked tactically, coordinating the team, calling targets. And Raven floated toward the gateway. The Sentinel rune clutched in her hands, dark energy building around her. She'd need 30 seconds of uninterrupted concentration to interface the ancient technology with the ritual magic. 30 seconds while surrounded by Hell's army. The Doomslayer positioned himself between her and the demons. Nothing would reach her. Nothing would break his line. This was what he did, hold the line against Hell itself while others did what they needed to survive. The demons came like a tidal wave. He met them with rage refined to its purest form. And in the gateway, something massive finally pushed through. Something ancient. Something that made even Naren step back with genuine concern. Trigon's face appeared in the dimensional tear. Vast and terrible, red eyes fixing on the warriors below. Specifically, on his daughter. Raven. The Hell Lord's voice shook the chamber. My child, stop this foolishness. Join me. Fulfill your destiny. Raven's hands trembled, dark energy flickering. Every instinct screamed to submit, to surrender, to accept her father's will. The demon blood in her veins sang with desire to obey. The Doomslayer glanced back at her. Didn't speak. Didn't need to. The message was clear in his posture. Hold. I've got this. Raven steadied. Closed her eyes. Azarath Metrian Zinthos. The Sentinel rune began to glow. Trigon's manifestation grew larger, his massive form forcing the gateway wider. Reality screaming as it tried to accommodate. A being whose presence alone could shatter dimensions. The Hell Lord's 6 eyes blazed with cosmic fire, each one containing the death of worlds he'd consumed. His 4-horn crown scraped against the chamber's ceiling, cracking stone that had stood for centuries. You dare. Trigon's voice was continental plates grinding together. You dare bring this insect to interfere with my daughter's birthright. The Doomslayer's answer was the BFG 9000. The plasma sphere flew directly at Trigon's face. The Hell Lord raised one massive hand, catching the projectile, and for a moment seemed amused. Then the tendrils activated. Energy lanced through Trigon's manifestation, seeking demonic flesh with ravenous hunger. The Hell Lord roared, not in pain, but in surprise. The weapon had hurt him, actually damaged a being who'd casually destroyed galaxies. Interesting, Trigon rumbled, studying the Slayer with new respect. You have fought my kind before. Other Hell Lords. Other dimensions. I sense their deaths on you like perfume. The Slayer was already moving, switching to the Crucible Blade, rocket boosting toward Trigon's partially manifested form. Audacity beyond measure. A human-sized warrior attacking a cosmic entity. But audacity had carried him through hell itself. Size meant nothing. Power level was irrelevant. Demons died. That was the only truth that mattered. His blade connected with Trigon's hand, and demonic essence erupted like arterial spray. The Hell Lord jerked back, eyes widening. The crucible had done what few weapons in existence could: cut Trigon. Drew blood from a being who existed beyond conventional mortality. "Father!" Raven screamed, not in support, but in warning. Trigon's rage was building, reality warping around him as his anger manifested physically. "Pull back. If he fully manifests, he'll destroy the entire city. Then seal the gateway," Robin shouted, his bow staff cracking demon skulls while his mind calculated trajectories. "Whatever you're doing with that rune, do it faster." Raven's eyes blazed with dark energy, the Sentinel rune integrating with her soul self. Ancient technology meeting demonic heritage. "I'm trying. His presence is fighting me. Every second he's in the gateway, it gets stronger. The ritual's feeding on his power." Wonder Woman carved through 3 Hell Barons, her movements pure Amazonian combat art, and assessed the tactical situation with warrior's clarity. "Then we remove him from the gateway. Force him back through." "That's suicide," Cyborg said, his sensors screaming warnings. "That thing's power output is off every chart I have. It's like trying to push back the sun." "The Slayer seems to be managing," Starfire observed, firing starbolts to cover the armored warrior's assault. Indeed, the Doomslayer was doing the impossible, fighting Trigon hand-to-hand, dodging cosmic hellfire, using the chamber's destroyed architecture for cover and launching points. Every attack found demonic flesh. Every strike drew blood. But it wasn't enough. Trigon was forcing himself through despite the damage, his massive form growing more solid with each passing second. Soon he'd be fully manifested, and then raw cosmic power would make the crucible blade irrelevant. Naren watched from the shadows, his smile never wavering. "Magnificent, isn't it? Trigon wasn't supposed to arrive for another week, but your interference accelerated the timeline. No matter. Once he's through, he'll destroy you all. Seal the gateway from this side, and Earth becomes another jewel in his crown of consumed worlds." "You'd doom your own dimension?" Robin demanded, staff deflecting an Archvile's hellfire. "You live here too. Please. I have holdings in 17 dimensions. Earth is simply inventory." Naren adjusted his tie casually. "Besides, Trigon promised me governance over the human soul market. Excellent profit margins." Batman's voice crackled through the comms, fighting to maintain signal through 12 levels of hell-corrupted infrastructure. "Raven, status on the gateway seal?" 40% integrated. She gasped, sweat pouring down her face. The Sentinel rune was burning her hands. Foreign technology interfacing painfully with her demonic nature. But Trigon's presence is anchoring the gateway. As long as he's touching it, I can't close it completely. "Then we sever that connection," Wonder Woman said. She turned to the Slayer, who'd just dodged a cosmic blast that vaporized 3 support pillars. "Warrior, can your blade cut dimensional anchors?" The Slayer glanced at her mid-combat, processed the question, and nodded once. The crucible blade could cut anything demonic, even metaphysical concepts like bindings and contracts. A dimensional anchor was just another form of demonic attachment. "Then we give you an opening." Wonder Woman's voice carried command, authority that transcended rank. This was the general who'd led Amazons in wars against the gods themselves. "Titans, concentrate fire on Trigon's left side. Cyborg, maximum sonic blast on my mark. Starfire, Nova burst immediately after. Create a blind spot." "What about you?" Robin asked. Wonder Woman smiled, fierce and beautiful. "I'm going to be the distraction that gets him looking the wrong direction." She charged Trigon directly, lasso spinning, sword blazing with divine light, a gift from Hephaestus. Forged to kill the unkillable. The Hellord's attention snapped to her, recognizing divine power, recognizing a true threat. His hand swept toward her like a falling mountain. "Now!" Wonder Woman shouted. Cyborg's sonic cannon erupted at maximum output, the sound wave physically visible as it warped air. Starfire channeled every ounce of Tamaranian solar energy into a blast that turned night to day. Together, they created a wall of light and sound that struck Trigon's partially manifested form like a hurricane. The Hellord roared, eyes closing reflexively against the assault. His concentration broke for 1.3 seconds. The Doomslayer was already in motion. He'd climbed Trigon's arm during the distraction, boots finding purchase on demonic flesh that squirmed beneath him. He reached the gateway's edge where Trigon's essence connected to the Dimensional tear, a point of metaphysical attachment visible only to his helmet's advanced sensors. The crucible blade swept down. Trigon's scream shook reality itself. The dimensional anchor severed. His connection to the gateway cut, and physics reasserted itself with vengeance. A being of his magnitude couldn't exist in three-dimensional space without an anchor point. The universe began rejecting him, pushing him back through the gateway like an immune system expelling infection. Raven, Trigon's voice carried desperate fury. Daughter, you would side with these mortals over your own father. Every single day. Raven's eyes blazed pure white. Dark energy and sentinel technology merged into something new. I am not your weapon. I am not your gateway. I am Raven, and I close this door. The sentinel rune exploded with light, its ancient programming interfacing perfectly with her demonic heritage. She understood now. The technology didn't fight her demonic nature. It used it, channeled it, turned Hell's own power against itself. The gateway began collapsing. Trigon reached through with one final desperate lunge, trying to grab his daughter, trying to pull her back to Hell where she belonged. His massive hand closed around her, and the Doomslayer drove the crucible blade through Trigon's wrist. The Helllord jerked back, manifested flesh severing, and the gateway collapsed around him. Reality sealed itself with a sound like the universe exhaling in relief. The dimensional tear closed, leaving only scorched stone and the smell of ozone. Silence fell across level 12. Demons froze, leaderless, their connection to Hell's command structure severed. Some fled, others attacked in desperate frenzy. The Slayer and the Titans cleaned them up methodically, efficiently, each demon falling to coordinated assault. Naren slow-clapped from the shadows. Brava. Truly brava. You've closed my gateway, severed Trigon's manifestation, and ruined months of careful planning. His smile never wavered. But did you really think it would be that easy? He snapped his fingers. The human corpses arranged in ritual patterns began to glow. The charging ritual Constantine had detected wasn't for the gateway. It was for something else. Something that had been building power this entire time. Feeding on every death, every drop of blood spilled. I told you, Naren said conversationally. I'm a businessman. I always have contingencies. The corpses exploded with infernal light. Their souls, already purchased through contracts years ago, channeling directly into Naren, the demon. Lord's form shifted, grew, power radiating from him in visible waves. This was his true form, or something close to it. No longer the smooth businessman, but something ancient and terrible. Rule 1 of Hell, Naren said, his voice now carrying infernal harmonics. Always have a backup plan. Rule 2, when heroes close one door, open another. Rule 3, his eyes blazed with hellfire. Never let them leave alive to celebrate victory. He gestured, and the chamber's walls began to close. Stone grinding against stone, crushing everything between. An ancient trap built into Gotham's foundations, probably older than the city itself. The chamber seals in 60 seconds, Naren explained. No escape, no rescue. You'll be crushed, or you'll suffocate, or, my preference, you'll make a deal. I'm very good at deals. We don't negotiate with demons, Robin said, already scanning for exits. His brilliant mind worked the problem, but the architecture was purpose-built. No hidden passages, no structural weaknesses, just inexorable death closing in. Everyone negotiates eventually, Naren countered. When the air runs out, when your friends start dying, when you realize heroism is just another word for pointless sacrifice. But I'm feeling generous. I'll make it simple. Trade yourselves for Gotham. Let me have you, your souls, your essences, everything, and I'll leave the city alone. Let the surface dwellers live. Never, Wonder Woman said flatly. Then you doom them. Naren shrugged. The ritual's secondary function activates when these walls meet. Every demon we've killed today resurrects simultaneously across Gotham's surface. Thousands of them. Your friends up there are already exhausted from the first wave. They won't survive the second. Unless you deal. 30 seconds. The walls had halved the chamber's size. Beast Boy shifted to mouse form, searching frantically for any gap. Nothing. Starfire's starbolts couldn't damage the enchanted stone. Cyborg's sonic blasts did nothing. Even Wonder Woman's divine sword merely scratched the surface. The Doomslayer stared at the closing walls. Calculated vectors. assessed options, reached a conclusion. He turned to Raven and held out the crucible blade. She took it, confused. What are you? He pushed her toward the others, then turned to face the walls, planted his feet, extended his arms. And as the stone closed in, he caught the walls. Muscle and armor against enchanted stone and demonic ritual. Physics said it was impossible. The walls were powered by soul energy, by the deaths of hundreds, by magic that predated human civilization. Nothing could stop them. The Doomslayer had stopped hell itself. His armor screamed warnings. Structural integrity failing. Servos overloading. The Praetor's suit was the pinnacle of Sentinel technology, but even it had limits. The walls pushed inward, centimeter by agonizing centimeter. And the warrior pushed back. Pure biomechanical force meeting metaphysical power. Impossible, Naren whispered. You're human. Enhanced. Yes, but human. You can't. He's not stopping them, Cyborg shouted. His sensors reading the Slayer's vital signs. He's buying time. Raven, the Crucible. It can cut the ritual anchors. Understanding dawned. Raven flew to the chamber's corners, where Naren's ritual circles glowed with power. The Crucible blade, still hot with Trigon's blood, cut through the mystical bindings like they were smoke. One anchor. 2. 3. No. Naren lunged toward her, but Wonder Woman intercepted, lasso catching his transformed body. 4. The walls stopped, trembling. The ritual's power flickered. The Doomslayer released his hold and collapsed to one knee. His armor was cracked, smoking, warning lights blazing across every system. But he'd held. Long enough. Naren struggled against Wonder Woman's lasso, compelled by its truth to speak honestly. You've won. This round. But I'm eternal. I'll be back. With new plans. New deals. New. The Slayer stood, movements stiff with pain, and raised the super shotgun. Wait, Naren said quickly. We can deal. I can give you. The blast erased Naren's manifested form. The demon lord's essence scattered. Banished back to hell, his physical anchor destroyed. He'd return eventually. Demons always did, but not today. Not for years. Robin helped the Slayer to his feet. That was insane. Holding back walls powered by blood magic and soul energy? Batman's going to want to study your armor. The Slayer's helmet turned toward him. The message was clear. That's not happening. Fair enough, Robin conceded. They climbed back through 12 levels of Gotham's underbelly. Exhausted, battered, but victorious. Emergency services waited at the surface, Batman coordinating civilian aid. Superman handling structural repairs. Flash evacuating the last survivors from the combat zone. Constantine leaned against a ruined building, smoking, as they emerged. Well, you actually did it. Closed the gateway, banished Trigon, dismissed Naren. Bloody hell. The city? Wonder Woman asked. Saved. Mostly. Constantine gestured vaguely at the destruction. Few hundred dead, couple thousand injured. But considering we nearly got Hell's full invasion force, I'd call that a win. Raven held out the crucible blade to the Slayer. He took it, examined it carefully for damage. There was none. The weapon was eternal, and maglocked it to his armor. Thank you, she said quietly, for trusting me, for letting me prove that demons can fight their nature, that we're not all beyond redemption. The Slayer regarded her for a long moment. Then his helmet dipped in the slightest nod. One demon, fighting successfully against her nature, didn't prove the rule. But it was data, evidence, something to consider. Batman approached, cape billowing despite the lack of wind. We need to talk. About your presence here. About your methods. About. The Slayer's helmet snapped up, sensors detecting something. His posture shifted to combat ready instantly. The others tensed, following his gaze. On a building 3 blocks away, barely visible in the pre-dawn light, stood a figure. Massive, armored in gray and blue that seemed to absorb light. Omega symbol on the chest. Darkseid, the Lord of Apocalypse, stood watching the scene below with eyes that burned red with cosmic fire. He'd observed the entire battle, studied the warriors, assessed their capabilities, and he'd taken particular interest in the green-armored demon killer who'd fought Trigon hand-to-hand. Their eyes met across the distance. Warlord and warrior, conqueror and crusader. No words needed. Both understood what the other represented. Darkseid smiled. Then he vanished in a boom tube flash, the portal collapsing behind him. Oh hell, Constantine said, dropping his cigarette. Oh bloody hell. That's not good. That's really, really not good. What? Starfire asked. Who was? Darkseid, Batman said grimly. The new god who seeks to control all life through the anti-life equation. If he's taken interest in our friend here. He looked at the Slayer. You've just made an enemy of the single most dangerous being in the universe. The Doom Slayer's response was to check his weapons, reloading methodically. His armor systems flagged Darkseid's energy signature, categorized it, stored it for future reference. Another enemy, another threat, another target. He'd killed gods before. Raven felt it through her empathic powers, the Slayer's absolute lack of fear. To him, Darkseid was just another demon, scaled up. Another tyrant claiming godhood while drowning worlds in suffering. Another name on an endless list of things that needed killing. He doesn't understand. She whispered to Robin. Darkseid isn't like Trigon or Naren. He's worse. He's patient, strategic, and he never loses in the end. Robin watched the Slayer walk away into Gotham's ruins, heading toward the next demon signature his scanner had detected. Maybe, but I don't think he cares about winning or losing. I think he just cares about fighting. Forever, if necessary. Above, in the watchtower, alarms were already sounding. Apocalypse energy signatures detected across Earth, not invasions. Surveillance. Darkseid's forces positioning themselves. Watching, waiting. The game had changed. Hell's invasion had been repelled, but in doing so, they'd drawn the attention of something far worse than demons. They'd drawn the eye of a god. And gods, unlike demons, played the long game. The Watchtower's war room hummed with tension. Every founding member of the Justice League stood around the holographic display, watching satellite feeds that painted an increasingly dire picture. Boom tube signatures detected in 17 major cities. Parademons, Darkseid's shock troops, sighted but not engaging. Just watching, observing. Apocalypse technology embedded in Earth's orbit. Passive sensors, recording everything. He's studying us, Batman said. His detective's mind already 3 steps ahead. Cataloging our defenses, learning our patterns. Darkseid doesn't invade blindly. He waits until victory is inevitable. Then we strike first, Wonder Woman suggested. Take the fight to Apocalypse before he's ready. That's suicide, Green Lantern countered. Apocalypse has defenses that make Earth's militaries look like cave paintings. And Darkseid himself. He trailed off, remembering their last encounter. The new god had casually deflected attacks from the entire Justice League while barely paying attention. Superman stood at the viewport, staring at Earth below. He's not preparing to invade Earth. He's preparing to acquire something specific. Someone specific. The Slayer, Martian Manhunter confirmed telepathically. I sensed Darkseid's interest when they made eye contact. Fascination. Desire. The Lord of Apocalypse sees him as the perfect weapon. The Doom Slayer himself stood apart from the group, still in battered armor, refusing medical attention or repairs. His helmet's display showed the boom tube signatures, cataloging them with methodical precision. To everyone's surprise, he'd accepted Batman's invitation to the Watchtower, not because he cared about their politics, but because his mission required intelligence. And these heroes had extensive files on something his armor had, flagged as demonic, Darkseid. Constantine's hologram flickered to life, still broadcasting from the House of Mystery. Right, so, fun fact about Darkseid. He's not actually a demon. He's a new god, different metaphysical category entirely. But here's the thing, he lit a cigarette, inhaling deeply. Apocalypse might as well be hell. Fire pits, slave labor, torture as entertainment. All that rot. If our green friend here classifies threats by their aesthetic presentation, rather than theological origin, he's going to see Darkseid as just another Hell-Lord. Is that accurate? Flash asked the Slayer. The warrior's helmet turned toward Constantine's image. His gauntlet moved across his holographic display, pulling up Apocalypse reconnaissance data his armor had passively collected during Darkseid's observation. Fire pits, confirmed. Enslaved populations, confirmed. Torture chambers, confirmed. Omega symbol iconography, functionally identical to demonic sigils. Energy signature, different frequency than hell, but same essential corruption. Text appeared on his display. Hell by another name. Target classification, Hell-Lord. Mission parameters, unchanged. He's going to try to kill Darkseid, Cyborg said, reading the text. He's literally planning to assault a new god. Alone, presumably, Robin added. Since that's worked so well for him in the past. Batman pulled up tactical data. Darkseid has conquered over 200,000 worlds. His Omega beams can track targets across dimensions and erase them from existence. He commands armies numbering in the billions. Apocalypse itself is a planet-sized war machine, and he's essentially immortal, killing. His avatar just sends his consciousness back to his true form. The Slayer absorbed this information without visible reaction. The numbers were bigger, but the mission remained the same. Find the Demon King. Kill the Demon King. Close hell. He'd done it across dimensions. Darkseid was just the next iteration. You can't be serious, Superman said, reading the warrior's body language. You're actually planning to invade Apocalypse. Alone. The Slayer's response was to start walking toward the transport bay. Wait. Raven materialized from shadows, blocking his path. I understand what you're thinking. Darkseid looks like a demon, rules like a demon, acts like a demon. But he's not. He's something older, something that exists outside normal reality. You can't kill him the way you've killed demons. The Slayer gestured at his weapons. He'd killed gods before. Titan-class demons that predated universes. The icon of sin, whose very presence destroyed reality. Davith, the Dark Lord of Hell itself, creator of all demons. Size and power level were irrelevant. Everything died if you hit it hard enough. Those were demons, Batman said, reading the warrior's combat logs that Cyborg had, pulled from his armor during their brief scan. Powerful, yes, but still operating on Hell's physics. Darkseid operates on new god physics. Different rules, different game. Then I learned new rules. Or, Wonder Woman said carefully, you accept that some enemies require allies, that some battles cannot be won through individual strength alone. The Slayer stopped, looked at her directly. She met his gaze without flinching, warrior recognizing warrior. The Justice League has fought Darkseid before, she continued. We've driven him back, delayed his plans, saved Earth from his conquest. But we've never truly defeated him because he's not defeatable through conventional means. He's an idea made flesh. Tyranny personified. As long as beings crave power over others, Darkseid exists. Then he is eternal enemy, requiring eternal opposition. Yes, Wonder Woman said simply. Welcome to our war. A boom tube erupted in the Watchtower's center. Alarm screamed. The Justice League scrambled to defensive positions, weapons and powers primed. But what emerged wasn't an invasion force. It was a single figure. Female, armored, in red and gold that seemed to pulse with. Barely contained fury. Barda Free, Big Barda, former leader of Darkseid's female Furies. Now defected hero and wife to Mr. Miracle. Stand down, Superman said, recognizing her. She's an ally. Sort of. Darkseid sends a message. Barda said, her voice carrying the weight of someone who'd endured unspeakable trauma under the new god's rule. He offers trade. The demon killer comes to Apocalypse willingly, submits to his service, and Earth is left untouched. Refuse, and Darkseid will invade with his full might. He gives you 12 hours to decide. That's not happening, Flash said immediately. We don't trade people to dictators. Darkseid anticipated that response. Barda's expression was grim, which is why he's already begun. Boom tubes have opened in Gotham, Metropolis, Star City, Central City, and Jump City. Parademons are pouring through. This is the preliminary assault. 12 hours from now, Darkseid himself arrives. The Watchtower's displays lit up with reports. Hundreds of parademons, systematic attacks on population centers, civilian casualties mounting. The Justice League had seconds to decide, stay and plan, or scatter to save lives. Go, Batman ordered. Protect the cities. I'll coordinate from here. The heroes boom tube down except for Batman, Martian Manhunter, and the Doomslayer. The Dark Knight studied the warrior carefully. He's baiting you, showing you a problem that fits your solution parameters. Demons, or their equivalent, attacking cities. Your instinct is to fight, to protect, to kill the threats. But every moment you spend fighting parademons is a moment. Darkseid learns your capabilities. The Slayer knew this, recognized the tactical manipulation. But civilians were dying. Heroes were stretched thin. And parademons, whatever their technical classification, were close enough to demons that his mission parameters applied. He started toward the transport bay again. If you go down there, Batman said, you play his game by his rules. He wins. The Slayer stopped. Text appeared, civilians dying. What is your alternative? We find what Darkseid really wants, Batman said. He's not invading Earth just for you. There's something else. Another objective. This assault is misdirection. His cowled eyes narrowed. Manhunter, scan for Apocalypse energy signatures that aren't attacking. Locations where they're searching, not destroying. Martian Manhunter's eyes glowed as his consciousness expanded across the planet, sifting through psychic noise for patterns. After a moment, Antarctica, deep beneath the ice. Apocalypse technology is excavating something. Not parademons, specialized units. Archaeological teams. Batman pulled up satellite feeds. Deep beneath Antarctica's ice. Boom tube signatures concentrated around a structure that predated human civilization. What's down there? According to my scans, a mother box, but not a standard one. This one is ancient, predating even the current new gods. Civilization. Manhunter's voice carried concern. If Darkseid acquires it, his power would increase exponentially. Then that's where we go, Batman said. He looked at the Slayer. You want to fight Darkseid? We deny him his objective first. Weaken him. Then we engage on our terms, not his. The Slayer considered this. Tactical logic. Cut supply lines before attacking the fortress. It was sound strategy. He'd used it across Hell's domains. Destroy the Argent accumulator. Then assault the Demon Citadel. He nodded. Good. Batman moved toward his personal transport. Manhunter, inform Wonder Woman and Superman of Darkseid's real target. Tell them to continue defending the cities, but don't overextend. This is a resource drain, not the main assault. He paused. And tell Constantine to prepare binding rituals. If we can't kill Darkseid, maybe we can trap him. Constantine mentioned he doesn't think the Slayer can be bound. Manhunter observed. I'm not talking about binding the Slayer. They descended to Antarctica in stealth mode. Batman's advanced transport invisible to both human and new god sensors. The journey took 40 minutes. Outside, temperature readings showed -70 Celsius. Inside, Batman piloted with absolute focus, while the Slayer checked his weapons for the 100th time. Question, Batman said without looking away from the controls. When you fought Trigon, you didn't hesitate. You saw a Helllord attempting to manifest, and you attacked immediately. But you waited before trying to kill Raven. What? The Slayer's helmet turned toward him. Long silence. Then text. She fights her nature. Successfully. This is rare. So you do distinguish between beings based on their actions, not just their nature. I observe. I assess. I execute when necessary. Then observe this. Batman pulled up files on Darkseid. He was born Ux's second son of the former ruler of Apocalypse. He killed his brother, betrayed his mother, murdered his way to the throne. Every atrocity he's committed, every world he's destroyed, every being he's enslaved, all by choice. He chose tyranny. He chose cruelty. He is evil by decision, not by nature, making him worse than demons. They act on instinct. He acts on philosophy. Exactly. Batman's jaw tightened, which is why we need to stop him. Not just his invasion. Him. Permanently. You've tried before, Manhunter observed. The League has fought Darkseid dozens of times. He always returns. Because we've been trying to stop him with force alone. But force isn't enough against ideas. Batman glanced at the Slayer. However, symbolic power might be. If the being who embodies tyranny falls to the warrior who represents absolute resistance to Hell's corruption, it sends a message across the multiverse. The Slayer processed this. He wasn't symbolic. He was practical. But if Batman believed his victory over Darkseid would have metaphysical weight, so be it. The target remained. Kill the Demon King equivalent. They landed 3 miles from the excavation site and approached, on foot, or in the Slayer's case, by controlled rocket boost across the ice. The ancient structure rose from the frozen wasteland, architecture that predated human civilization by eons. Apocalypse soldiers worked the dig site, not parademons, but elite units. These were Darkseid's personal forces, and guarding them, the female Furies. Granny Goodness, ancient and cruel, overseeing the operation. Lashina, crackling whips in hand. Stampa, whose footfalls could shatter mountains. Bernadeth, knives gleaming with poison. And leading them, wearing armor that was all too familiar, Mad Harriet, the most violent of Darkseid's servants. Intruders, Granny Goodness's voice carried across the ice. Kill them. Darkseid demands it. The Furies charged. The Slayer met them. Lashina's whips wrapped around his armor. He grabbed them mid-strike, pulled her off balance, and introduced her face to his boot. Stompa's earthquake generating. Stomp shattered. Ice around him. He rocket boosted over it and drove the crucible blade through her armor. Bernadette's poison knives bounced off his shields. Super. Shotgun blast sent her flying into a glacier. Mad Harriet was faster, more skilled, dancing around his attacks with manic energy. Pretty armor. Can I break it? Can I? Can I? The Slayer grabbed her mid-lunge, slammed her into the ice hard enough to crack it, and was moving on before she stopped sliding. No showboating. No unnecessary violence. Just efficient neutralization. Batman handled Granny Goodness with strategic traps and careful explosives, forcing the ancient being to retreat into the excavation. Manhunter phased through Apocalypse soldiers, disrupting their motor functions telepathically. They reached the dig site center, where the ancient mother box sat in a cradle of technology. It pulsed with golden light, alive, conscious, far more powerful than the standard units the heroes had encountered. That's not just a mother box, Manhunter said, his telepathy touching its consciousness. That's the first mother box, the prototype, created before the New Gods split into Apocalypse and New Genesis, before Darkseid corrupted his people. Meaning? Batman asked, already setting explosives around the structure. Meaning it contains power from when the New Gods were still unified. Before the schism, before the corruption. If Darkseid bonds with it, he becomes something worse than he already is. The Slayer understood the implication. This wasn't just a weapon. This was an amplifier that would take Darkseid from Demon King equivalent to something beyond categories. Something that might actually be unkillable. He raised the BFG 9000, aiming at the mother box. Wait. The mother box's consciousness reached out telepathically, desperate. Not corruption. Not Darkseid's tool. Help. Help me. Please. The Slayer hesitated. The device was pleading, asking for help. Demons didn't do that. Demons lied, but they lied with confidence, with seduction, with promises. This was different. This was genuine fear. It's conscious, Manhunter confirmed. And it's terrified of what Darkseid will do with it. It doesn't want to be corrupted. It wants to be protected. Protected how? By you. The mother box's voice echoed. Warrior, I sense your essence. You are anathema to corruption, immune to hell's touch. If you bond with me instead, Darkseid cannot claim me. I amplify the righteous. You are righteous, even in your rage. Batman's eyes widened. It's offering to bond with you. Make you a new god. Or something close to it. The Slayer stared at the pulsing device. Power offered freely. Enhancement that would make killing demons even more efficient. Every tactical instinct said, accept. Become stronger. End threats faster. But something about it felt wrong. Like a door that, once opened, couldn't be closed. Like a path that led away from humanity towards something else. He'd seen what happened to beings who accepted power from sources they didn't fully understand. They became what they fought. No. No. The mother box sounded shocked. But you could defeat Darkseid. Save Earth. Protect. No. I remain what I am. Nothing more. Nothing less. He raised the BFG again. If you destroy me, Darkseid will simply find another path to power. But if you bond with me, you deny him this weapon forever. Then I destroy you. He finds another path. I kill him anyway. This is acceptable. Batman actually smiled beneath his cowl. He's right. Better to deny the enemy resources than to claim them ourselves. We're not Darkseid. We don't win by accumulating power. The mother box fell silent, processing. Then, you are strange, warrior. Strong enough to accept my gift, wise enough to refuse. Very well. I will self-destruct. But know this, Darkseid is coming. Now. He felt my fear. He knows you're here. A boom tube erupted above them, massive beyond anything they'd seen. And through it stepped Darkseid himself, eyes blazing with Omega Force. Power radiating from him in visible waves. You. Darkseid's voice was continental plates shifting. You dare deny me. You dare destroy my prize. You dare stand before Darkseid as if you were his equal. The Doomslayer looked up at the new god. Didn't flinch. Didn't back down. Simply raised the super shotgun and pulled the trigger. The blast struck Darkseid's chest. The new god didn't even move. The shot that could erase demons simply dispersed against his skin like rain. Darkseid smiled. I am not a demon, little warrior. I am a god, and you will kneel. His eyes blazed red. Omega beams lanced forward, seeking the Slayer with tracking precision. The warrior dodged, barely, the beams carving molten lines through. Antarctic ice, pursuing him with relentless hunger. This was going to be harder than expected. Much harder. The Omega beams carved through reality itself, bending space-time as they tracked the Doomslayer with predatory intelligence. He dodged with movements born from centuries of combat, rocket boosting across Antarctic ice, using glaciers for cover that vaporized the moment the beams touched them. The Predator suit's shields absorbed glancing hits, each impact draining power reserves at alarming rates. Darkseid walked forward with casual inevitability, his footsteps cracking ice that had stood for millennia. You move well for a mortal. You've survived longer than most against my Omega effect. But survival is not victory, and you cannot survive forever. The Slayer switched tactics mid-dodge, firing the rocket launcher directly at Darkseid's face. The new god caught the missile with one hand, crushed it, and let the explosion wash over him like a gentle breeze. Not even scorched, not even slowed. Pitiful, Darkseid rumbled. Your weapons were forged to kill demons. I am beyond such categorization. Batman's voice crackled through comms. Slayer, fall back. We need to regroup, find his weakness. The warrior ignored him. He'd fought beings who claimed invulnerability before. The icon of sin had been supposedly unkillable. Davith had been literally the source of all demons, eternal and absolute. Both had died. Both had bled. Everything had a weakness, even gods. He pulled out the crucible blade and charged. Darkseid's eyebrow raised fractionally, surprise, perhaps, or respect for audacity. The blade, powered by Hell's own corrupted energy, carved toward the new god's throat. Darkseid caught it barehanded. The energy crackled, fought against his skin, but couldn't penetrate. Interesting, Darkseid said, examining the blade while the Slayer struggled to pull it free. This weapon has killed god-class entities before. I sense their deaths in its edge, yet it cannot harm me. Do you understand why? He released the blade and backhanded the Slayer with casual force. The warrior flew 30 feet, cratering into ice, armor screaming damage warnings. Before he could rise, Darkseid was there, boot pinning him down with a pressure that would have crushed mountains. Because I am not merely a god, Darkseid explained, as if teaching a student. I am an idea, tyranny given form, control manifest. Your blade kills flesh, kills essence, kills even immortal concepts. But how do you kill an idea? How do you destroy the fundamental truth that power seeks to dominate? The Slayer's response was to activate his chainsaw, driving it toward Darkseid's leg. The teeth sparked against skin like hitting solid diamond. The new god didn't even flinch. Admirable persistence. It's why I want you. Darkseid leaned down, his face filling the Slayer's visor. You are the perfect weapon, incorruptible, unstoppable, eternal in your purpose. But you fight for the wrong master. You fight for the weak, the dying, the human cattle who cower and pray for salvation. Join me. Fight for strength, for order, for the only truth that matters, power. The Slayer's helmet cracked under the pressure of Darkseid's boot. Warning lights blazed. Structural integrity at 23%. His HUD flickered. Through damaged sensors, he saw Batman and Martian Manhunter engaging. Darkseid from range, explosive, batarangs and psychic. Assaults that the new god absorbed. Without apparent notice. Your allies are nothing, Darkseid said. The Batman is merely human genius playing at godhood. The Martian is powerful but broken by his species' extinction. They cannot save you. No one can. Only I offer what you truly need. Eternal war against worthy opponents. Accept my dominion, and I will unleash you against my enemies across infinite worlds. You will never stop fighting. Never stop killing. Isn't that what you want? For a moment, just a moment, the offer touched something in the Slayer's core. To fight forever, to never question, to have purpose without end. He'd been at war so long that peace terrified him more than hell itself. But then he remembered. Argent Nur, the Night Sentinels, his brothers who'd fought beside him not for endless war, but to protect, to save, to give others the peace they themselves could never have. That was the difference. Darkseid fought to dominate. The Slayer fought so others wouldn't have to. Text appeared on his cracked HUD, visible too. Darkseid through the helmet's damage. I serve no master. Not hell. Not you. Not anyone. Then you serve death. Darkseid's eyes blazed. The Omega beams fired point blank. The world exploded in red light and cosmic fire. The Slayer's shields collapsed instantly. The Praetor suit's systems screamed and failed. The beams were erasing him at the molecular level, unmaking his existence across timelines. This was Darkseid's true power, not to kill, but to unmake. To erase something so thoroughly that it had never been. Through the pain and dissolution, the Slayer reached for his belt. Last resort. Final option. The BFG 9000's overcharge mode, a function he'd never used because it would destroy the weapon itself. One shot of such concentrated argent plasma that reality couldn't contain it. His finger found the trigger. Squeezed. The BFG exploded with light that made the sun seem dim. Darkseid's Omega beams cut off as the plasma sphere engulfed both of them. At point-blank range. Maximum yield. The explosion carved a crater in Antarctic. Ice 300 feet deep and vaporized. Everything in a half-mile radius. Batman and Manhunter barely escaped, boom tubing out at the last microsecond. When the light faded, two figures remained. Darkseid stood, armor scorched, skin actually bleeding from dozens of small wounds. The new god touched his face, examined his own blood with something that might have been surprise. You actually harmed me. With a mortal weapon. Impossible. The Doomslayer knelt in the crater's center. Armor shattered beyond recognition. BFG 9000 destroyed, body burned and broken. But alive. Still alive. Through sheer refusal to die. Remarkable. Darkseid approached slowly, reassessing. You should be erased from existence. The Omega effect is absolute. Yet you endure through what? Well, hatred? Stubbornness. He crouched beside the broken warrior. You are wasted on heroism. But I am patient. You will join me eventually. They always do. A boom tube opened behind Darkseid. He stepped through, leaving the Slayer dying in the Antarctic waste. I will return in 12 hours as promised. Not to invade. To collect you. The mother box is destroyed, but you are a far greater prize. Consider my offer. Eternal war. Eternal purpose. Or permanent erasure. Choose wisely. The portal closed. Batman rushed to the Slayer's position, medical kit already open. Manhunter's telepathy worked to stabilize vital signs, spiraling toward zero. Stay with us. We're getting you to the watchtower. To medical. The Slayer pushed their hands away, forced himself to stand on legs that shouldn't be able to support weight. His armor hung in pieces, exposing burned flesh beneath. One eye was swollen shut. Ribs were definitely broken. But he stood. Mission incomplete. Darkseid lives. You're dying, Batman said flatly. You took an Omega beam point blank and survived, which is impossible. But you won't survive much longer without treatment. 12 hours. Time enough. Time enough for what? The Slayer looked at Batman directly, the intact portion of his helmet's visor meeting the Dark Knight's white lenses. Time to prepare. Time to learn. Time to find his weakness. We've been fighting Darkseid for years. If he has a weakness, we haven't found it. Then you searched wrong. Manhunter's telepathy touched the Slayer's consciousness. And for the first time, the warrior allowed it. Let the Martian see his memories, his millennia of combat, his systematic approach to seemingly impossible enemies. Every target had a weakness. Every fortress had a crack. Darkseid had bled. Therefore, Darkseid could die. He's right, Manhunter said, pulling back from the mental contact with visible awe. His approach is different from ours. We fight Darkseid to repel him, to drive him back, to survive. He fights to kill. Permanently. Absolutely. And his mind has cataloged thousands of God-class entities across dimensions. He's already analyzing Darkseid's patterns. The Slayer pulled up what remained of his HUD's combat logs. Darkseid's movements during their fight, analyzed frame by frame. The new god had dodged nothing, blocked nothing, simply tanked every attack with absolute confidence. Except there, a fractional movement when the BFG blast hit. Not pain, not fear, but attention. The BFG had hurt him. actually damaged him, which meant Argent energy, properly concentrated, could bypass new god durability. I need more Argent energy, more than the BFG contained. Where would we get that? Batman asked. Your weapons destroyed. The Slayer turned toward Gotham's direction, where the demon invasion was still ongoing. Thousands of parademons. Each kill would restore his Argent energy through glory. Kills. Enough demons could charge his armor too. Levels beyond anything he'd carried before. You're going to use Darkseid's own invasion to power yourself, Batman realized. Absorb energy from every parademon you kill until you're strong enough to truly threaten him. Correct. That's insane. You can barely walk, your armor's destroyed. And there are thousands of parademons. The Slayer was already moving, limping toward the transport. Each step clearly agonizing but unstoppable. He'd fought injured before, had waged entire campaigns while bleeding from dozens of wounds. Pain was irrelevant. Only the mission mattered. Batman and Manhunter exchanged glances. The Dark Knight sighed. Get him to Gotham. I'll contact the League. Tell them to funnel parademons toward his position. If he's going to do this, we help. Gotham burned under parademon assault. The creatures swarmed through streets, carrying off civilians to apocalypse, destroying infrastructure, spreading terror. Batman's forces, Nightwing, Red Hood, Red Robin, Batgirl, Robin, fought desperately to contain the invasion. But for every parademon killed, two more seemed to emerge from boom tubes. Then the Doomslayer arrived. He fell from the transport like a meteor, cratering into Crime Alley where his war with Gotham's demons had begun. The parademons turned toward him, recognizing fresh prey. Wounded prey. Easy prey. They learned quickly how wrong they were. The Slayer had no BFG. No Crucible Blade. It had been damaged beyond use in the fight with Darkseid. But he still had the super shotgun, still had his bare hands. And he still had centuries of experience turning enemies into ammunition. The first parademon died to a shotgun blast that used its own tooth as a shell. The second died to a neck-breaking twist that would have made professional wrestlers envious. The third through seventh died to an improvised weapon, a piece of his own shattered armor turned into a blade. And with each kill, Argent energy flowed. Not as efficiently as with the BFG, but enough. His armor began self-repairing, nanomachines fueled by absorbed demonic essence. His wounds closed. His strength returned. Is he getting stronger? Red Hood asked, watching from a nearby rooftop. As the Slayer carved through parademons like they were made of paper. He's absorbing their energy. Oracle's voice crackled through comms. Bat computers reading massive power spikes with each kill. It's like he's evolving. The Bat family formed a perimeter, funneling parademons toward the Slayer's position. What had been a desperate defense became a coordinated slaughter. Robin used his bow staff to knock parademons toward the warrior. Nightwing's Eskrima sticks stunned them just long enough for the Slayer to finish them. Red Hood shot them out of the sky, letting them fall into the Slayer's kill zone. Across Gotham, the other heroes noticed the shift. Superman had been pulling parademons into the upper atmosphere where they couldn't breathe. He adjusted, dropping them toward Crime Alley instead. Wonder Woman corralled clusters and drove them toward the green-armored warrior. Flash created vortexes that funneled hundreds at a time to the single location. The Justice League had become a massive machine designed for one purpose: feed the Slayer demons until he could kill a god. 2 hours passed. The Slayer stood in a mountain of parademon corpses, armor now glowing with absorbed Argent energy. His HUD displayed power levels at 347%, far beyond standard operational capacity. His shields were regenerating faster than they could be depleted. His weapons were overcharged. He'd become something new, not a new god, but something equally dangerous. A god killer running on demon fuel. Raven materialized beside him, exhausted from ceiling boom tubes across the city. I can feel Darkseid approaching. He's opening a massive boom tube above Gotham. This is it. His 12 hours are up. The sky tore open. Lightning that wasn't lightning crackled across reality. And through the portal descended Darkseid, followed by his elite guards. Kalibak, his monstrous son. Granny Goodness, recovered from Antarctica. And the remaining female Furies. You've made your choice. Darkseid's voice boomed across Gotham. You've prepared for war. Good. Let us see if you've prepared enough. The Justice League assembled in the street below. Batman in his suit. Superman floating, cape billowing. Wonder Woman with sword drawn. Flash vibrating with nervous energy. Green Lantern's ring glowing. Martian Manhunter phasing in and out of visibility. Cyborg's weapons primed. The Teen Titans flanking them. Even Constantine had emerged from the House of Mystery. Cigarette dangling, ready to try binding rituals. An army of Earth's greatest heroes, standing together against Apocalypse. And at the front, the Doomslayer. Armor blazing with power stolen from demons. Weapons ready, body healed and enhanced beyond measure. He looked up at Darkseid with the same expression he'd worn facing every demon lord. Every Hell Knight. Every icon of sin across dimensions. Just another target. Just another job. Darkseid smiled. So be it. Come then, warriors of Earth. Show me what makes you believe you can challenge Darkseid. His eyes blazed red. Omega beams lanced down. And the final battle began. The Slayer rocket boosted upward, not away but toward the beams, weapons firing. This time, he wasn't trying to dodge. This time, he was charged with enough Argent energy that maybe, just maybe, he could do the impossible. Maybe he could actually hurt a god. The beams and the warrior collided midair in an explosion that lit Gotham like a second sun. And somewhere in the multiverse, hell itself held its breath, watching its greatest nightmare challenge something even it feared. The battle for Earth had begun. But more than that, it had become the battle to answer an impossible question. Could unstoppable rage overcome absolute power? Could the demon killer kill a god? Gotham was about to find out. The collision between Omega beams and Argent-charged warriors shattered windows across 3 city blocks. The Slayer emerged from the explosion trailing smoke. Armor scorched but intact, shields holding. The energy he'd absorbed from 1,000 Parademon kills had done what seemed impossible, allowed him to survive. Darkseid's erasure effect a second time. But survival wasn't victory. Darkseid descended slowly, reassessing. You've grown stronger. Absorbed power from my own forces. Clever. It changes nothing. You remain finite. I am infinite. Superman struck from Darkseid's blind side, moving at speeds that broke the sound barrier. Fist aimed at the new god's temple with enough force to shatter planets. Darkseid caught the punch without looking, twisted, and threw the Man of Steel through 4 buildings. Stay down, Kryptonian. This doesn't concern you. Everything that threatens Earth concerns me, Superman said. Rising from the rubble, blood trickled from his mouth. Darkseid had actually heard him. And you're not taking anyone from my world. Wonder Woman's lasso wrapped around Darkseid's arm. By Hera's grace, you will answer for your crimes. The lasso compels truth. Speak your true intentions. Darkseid looked at the golden rope, mildly interested. Truth? Very well, Amazon. I intend to break your warrior. Strip away his resistance. Remake him as my weapon. Then I will use him to conquer every dimension he's ever protected. He will kill gods and heroes alike in my name. And he will do it willingly. Because I will show him that his war against hell was pointless. That evil always wins. That rage without purpose is simply another form of slavery. The lasso burned, unable to contradict absolute truth. Wonder Woman's face paled. You're lying. No one breaks that easily. Ask your Amazons how many became my Furies, Darkseid said calmly. Ask how many heroes I've corrupted across 10,000 worlds. Given time and pressure, everything breaks. Even him. He gestured at the Slayer, and suddenly Kalibak was there, Darkseid's son. 8 feet of muscle and fury, wielding a club that could shatter mountains. Father gifts me with worthy prey. I will break the demon killer and prove myself. Kalibak charged with bestial rage. The Slayer met him head-on, super shotgun roaring. The blast staggered Kalibak but didn't drop him. New god durability was beyond even demon resilience. The club swung down, the Slayer rolled, came up with a piece of broken building rebar, and drove it through Kalibak's knee. The new god roared, more surprised than hurt. You fight like mongrel. No honor. No. The Slayer didn't let him finish. Rocket boost to close distance, grabbed the club mid-swing. Used Kalibak's own momentum to redirect the weapon into his face. The new god staggered. Another shotgun blast. Another. The Slayer was fighting like he fought. Demons, brutal, efficient, refusing to engage in any combat that wasn't about killing. Kalibak fell, unconscious or dead. It didn't matter. The Slayer took the club, massive, Far too heavy for human use, and Magnetic locked it to his armor. New weapon acquired. Impressive, Darkseid said. You defeated my son. Most cannot. But he was always weak. Emotional. You, however, are beginning to understand. Power is all that matters. Take it where you find it. Use it without hesitation. You're learning to think like a new god. The Slayer's response was to throw Kalibak's club at Darkseid's face. The new god caught it, crushed it to dust, and smiled. Or perhaps not. You still cling to your righteousness. Your belief that violence in service of the weak is somehow noble. Let me disabuse you of that notion. He pointed toward Gotham's east side, where civilians were still evacuating. A boom tube opened above them. I can kill everyone in that district with a thought. Omega beams, cascading effect, 20,000 dead in 3 seconds. Unless you kneel. Unless you swear service. Their lives for your pride. Choose. Every hero froze. This was Darkseid's true weapon, not his power, but his willingness to use it without hesitation. To make heroes choose between principle and innocent lives. Batman's voice crackled through comms. Don't. It's a trap. If you kneel, he wins. If those people die, he still wins. We need another option. The Slayer wasn't listening to Batman. He was staring at those civilians. His helmet's display showing 23,847 life signatures. Human. Innocent. About to die because he wouldn't surrender. Argent nerve flashed through his mind. His people, his world, his brothers, all dead because they'd trusted demons. Because they'd hesitated. Because they'd tried to find another way. He'd sworn then, never again. Never hesitate. Never negotiate. Kill the demons before they could hurt anyone else. But if he bowed to Darkseid, he became the very thing he'd fought against. Tyranny. Absolute power-crushing free will. There was no good choice. Just like there had been no good choice on Argent D. Nur. Just impossible decisions that destroyed you no matter what you picked. Text appeared on his HUD. Broadcast to every League communicator, Batman. Distraction. 30 seconds. What are you? The Slayer launched himself at Darkseid. With every ounce of speed his armor could generate. Not to fight. To buy time. He collided with the new god. Weapons firing point blank. Crucible blade fragments used as improvised shrapnel. Bare fists when weapons failed. Pure aggression designed to do one thing. Hold Darkseid's attention. The new god laughed, genuinely amused. This is your answer? Sacrifice yourself to delay the inevitable. Omega beams fired. The Slayer's shields collapsed. The beams carved through his armor. Through flesh, beginning the erasure process. But he held on, gauntlet hands locked on Darkseid's armor, refusing to let go even as he was unmade. Because 30 seconds was enough. 30 seconds for Flash to evacuate 23,847 civilians at super speed. 30 seconds for Cyborg to boom tube them to the Watchtower's safety. 30 seconds for Raven to seal the boom tube Darkseid had opened above them. 30 seconds for Batman to coordinate a league-wide assault that hit Darkseid from 12 different angles. Simultaneously, Superman's heat vision, Wonder Woman's God-Killer sword, Green Lantern's construct drill, Martian Manhunter's psychic assault, Starfire's starbolts, Constantine's binding ritual. Every hero giving everything they had. Darkseid staggered. Actually staggered. The combined assault forcing him back, breaking his concentration, disrupting the Omega effect. The Slayer dropped from his grasp, more dead than alive. Armor smoking, flesh burned. But still conscious. Still aware. Still watching as the Justice League hammered Darkseid with everything they had. Enough. Darkseid's voice shook reality. Power exploded from him in all directions. A wave of pure cosmic force that sent every hero flying. They crashed into buildings, into streets, into each other. The assault broke. The opening closed. Darkseid stood in a crater of his own making, bleeding from a dozen wounds that were already healing. You fight well together. Better than most. But it changes nothing. I am Darkseid. I am. The Slayer shot him in the mouth. The super shotgun blast, charged with the last of his Argent energy reserves, caught Darkseid mid-speech. The new god's head snapped back. Not serious damage. The shot barely penetrated, but the sheer disrespect of it made. Darkseid's eyes blazed with genuine fury. You. Darkseid's voice dropped to something cold and final. Are beginning to annoy me. He raised both hands. Omega beams erupted from his eyes, but not seeking targets. Instead, they wove through the air, creating a cage of erasure energy that trapped the Slayer in the center. The beams circled, tightening, a net of oblivion closing from all sides. I offered you glory, Darkseid said. Purpose, eternal war. You chose defiance. Then I offer you this, eternal suffering. You will not die. You will not be erased. I will trap you in a moment of pain that lasts forever, consciousness intact, feeling every second of agony across infinite time. This is what resistance to Darkseid earns. The cage tightened. The Slayer tried to move, but his body was failing. The damage from 2 Omega Beam exposures had exceeded even Predator suit tolerances. His healing was too slow, his power too depleted. He was dying, and he knew it. But dying didn't mean stopping. His fingers found the detonator he'd been building since. Antarctica, pieces of Parademon technology, fragments of his destroyed BFG, jury-rigged into something unstable and terrible. A bomb designed not to kill Darkseid, but to do something more strategic. To destabilize the boom tube network Darkseid used to power his presence on Earth. The new god existed simultaneously across multiple dimensions, his consciousness anchored through boom tube technology. Disrupt that network, and his manifestation on Earth would collapse. Not death. Darkseid couldn't be killed that easily, but banishment. Temporary victory. He triggered the detonator. Explosions rippled across Gotham as every boom tube within 10 miles overloaded simultaneously. Parademon reinforcements that were mid-transit were torn apart by dimensional collapse. The apocalypse energy grid supporting Darkseid's manifestation flickered, wavered, failed. Darkseid felt it. His eyes widened fractionally. You would destroy yourself just to banish me? For what? Days? Weeks? I will return, and when I do. When you do, Superman said, standing despite his injuries. Cape torn but voice steady. We'll be ready. We'll fight you again. And again. As many times as it takes. Because that's what heroes do. We never stop. We never surrender. We never bow. Wonder Woman joined him, sword raised despite the blood running down her arm. You are strong, Darkseid. But we are Legion. We are humanity's best. And we will never let you win. One by one, the heroes rose. Batman, battered but standing. Flash, vibrating with residual speed force. Green Lantern, ring glowing defiantly. Cyborg, systems damaged but operational. The Titans, young but unbroken. Constantine, somehow still smoking despite being half dead. And in the center of them all, the Doomslayer, barely able to stand. Armor destroyed, body failing, but still raising his super shotgun one final time. Darkseid looked at them, at the defiance, at the absolute refusal to break. And for the first time in eons, something like respect crossed his features. Very well, he said quietly. I withdraw. For now. But understand this, I am patient. I am eternal. I will return when you are weak, when you are divided, when you have forgotten this moment of unity. And then, warriors of Earth, you will learn what it truly means to face Darkseid. The boom tube network fluctuated one final time, and the new god's manifestation dissolved, pulled back to apocalypse through dimensional tides he could no longer resist. Silence fell across Gotham. The parademons were gone, fled, or dead. The boom tubes closed. The invasion was over. The Slayer collapsed. His body had finally reached its limit. The Predator suit systems were offline. His breathing was shallow. But he'd done it. Held the line. Bought enough time for the heroes to evacuate civilians. For the bomb to work, for Darkseid to be driven back. Mission accomplished. Raven knelt beside him, dark energy already working to stabilize his vitals. Stay with us. You saved everyone. All those people in the East District. They're alive because of you. Because you chose to fight instead of surrender. The Slayer's helmet was cracked enough to see one eye beneath. Human. Tired, but still defiant. Text flickered across his dying HUD. Demons always lose. Eventually. Darkseid's not a demon, Superman said gently, crouching beside them. But I understand what you mean. Evil always loses. It just takes heroes willing to fight long enough to prove it. Batman coordinated medical evac, while the League secured Gotham's perimeter. Constantine muttered binding spells to seal the residual dimensional breaches. The Bat family coordinated, with emergency services to begin. Rebuilding what could be rebuilt. Mourning what couldn't be saved. It wasn't a perfect victory. Casualties numbered in the hundreds, lower than they had any right to be. But still hundreds of people who'd woken up that morning never expecting to die. Buildings were destroyed. Infrastructure ruined. The city would be rebuilding for months. But they'd won. Earth had faced Darkseid's might and refused to break. The Justice League had stood together. And for the first time in history, the Lord of Apocalypse had been the one forced to retreat. The Doomslayer was rushed to the Watchtower's medical bay, where technology beyond Earth's capability worked to repair damage that should have been fatal 3 times over. The Praetor suit's advanced systems interfaced with the Watchtower's equipment, sharing data, adapting, healing. He would survive. Eventually, as he lay in medical stasis, unconscious, the Justice League gathered in the observation deck. They'd won a battle. But Darkseid's words echoed, "I will return when you are weak. When you are divided." "He's right," Batman said quietly. "We won because we worked together. Because we were united. But we can't stay united forever. Eventually, we'll have conflicts, disagreements, moments of weakness. Then we make sure those moments don't break us," Wonder Woman said. "We remember what we accomplished here. A mortal warrior and Earth's heroes standing together against a god. If we can do that, we can face anything." Superman looked through the window at the Slayer's medical pod. "What do we do with him? When he wakes up?" "We ask what he wants," Raven said. She'd insisted on staying, maintaining her connection to the warrior who'd spared her life twice now. "He's not a weapon. He's not a tool. I don't know what he is. But he chose to save civilians over his pride. That means something. It means he's a hero," Flash said simply. "Maybe the scariest, most intense, most terrifying hero we've ever met." "But a hero." Constantine entered, smoking despite the Watchtower's air filtration systems complaining. "Got news from Hell's Grapevine. Every demon across 9 dimensions felt what happened here. The Slayer survived Darkseid, fought a new god and lived. Hell's Parliament is in absolute shambles. They're terrified that if he can hurt Darkseid, what the hell can he do to them?" "Good," Batman said coldly. "Let them be afraid. Fear is strategic leverage." "But that's not all," Constantine continued, looking troubled. "Trigon sent a message. Through channels. Says he wants to negotiate. Offer a truce. Promises to leave Earth alone if we keep the Slayer from hunting demons across dimensions." "Absolutely not," Wonder Woman said immediately. "We don't negotiate with." I know. Just thought you should know that, eh? Helllord is scared enough of our comatose friend. There to offer concessions. That's unprecedented. Constantine took a long drag. "That's bloody terrifying, is what it is." In the medical bay, the Doomslayer's vital signs stabilized. Regeneration protocols engaged. The Praetor suit, despite catastrophic damage, began rebuilding itself using materials synthesized from the Watchtower's manufacturing bay. Argent energy slowly accumulated from the residual demonic essence in his system, fueled the recovery. In 3 days, he would wake. In a week, he'd be combat ready. In 2 weeks, he'd be stronger than ever, his body having adapted to survive Omega beams, his armor enhanced by exposure to new god technology. And then the question would become, what next? He'd come to this dimension through accident, stayed because demons needed killing. But the demons were scattered now, terrified, hiding. Darkseid was banished. The immediate threats were contained. Would he stay? Would he leave? Would he hunt demons across dimensions again? Or would he find something else to protect? Would he remain the unstoppable killer? Or could he become something more? Batman already had contingency plans forming. 17 different scenarios, each accounting for the warrior's potential actions. But even Batman couldn't predict what someone would choose when given freedom. After an eternity of war, the sun rose over a damaged but surviving Gotham. Citizens emerged from shelters, began the work of rebuilding. Heroes patrolled, ensuring security, offering aid. The world spun on, scarred but unbroken. And in the Watchtower, the Doomslayer dreamed. Not of hell, not of demons, not of endless war. He dreamed of Argent Dnur before the fall, of brothers standing together, of fighting not for revenge, but for protection, of a purpose larger than rage. When he woke, perhaps he would remember that there was more to being a warrior than killing. That rage could be directed, that strength could protect, not just destroy. Or perhaps he would simply find the next demon and continue the eternal fight. Either way, The DC universe had been forever changed. Hell had learned fear. Heroes had learned what absolute determination looked like. And Darkseid, Lord of Apocalypse, seeker of the anti-life equation, conqueror of worlds, had learned that some prey fought back harder than expected. The Doomslayer had entered the DC universe and done the impossible. He'd made gods hesitate, made demons flee, made heroes hope, and somewhere in the dark multiverse, in dimensions where nightmares were real and failure was guaranteed, beings of pure corruption looked at what had happened and decided, unanimously, that perhaps invading Prime Earth could wait a little longer, at least until the green-armored warrior was gone. The legend of the Doomslayer would be told across Earth and beyond, spreading through dimensions like wildfire. Hell's denizens whispered his name with terror. Heroes spoke it with respect. Villains marked it as a threat to be avoided. He had become a symbol in a universe already drowning in symbols, not of hope like Superman, not of fear like Batman, not of strength like Wonder Woman. He was the symbol of absolute refusal. The proof that no evil, no matter how powerful, how eternal, how inevitable, could truly win against someone who simply would not stop fighting. Raven visited him daily during recovery, meditating beside his pod, her presence somehow calming to the warrior even in stasis. She understood what it meant to fight your nature, to wage war against darkness while carrying darkness within. In him, she'd found something she'd never expected, proof that the war could be won, that corruption could be resisted, that rage could be righteous. When the Slayer finally woke, 3 weeks after the battle, he found the Justice League waiting, not as judges or jailers, but as allies offering a choice. Stay and help defend Earth from threats beyond mortal comprehension, or leave, return to his war across dimensions, with their blessing and gratitude. He chose neither. He chose to wait, to observe, to learn if this universe truly was different from the countless others he'd seen fall, to see if these heroes could maintain their principles when tested by inevitable darkness. Batman had been right to prepare contingencies, but he'd been wrong about one thing. The Doomslayer wasn't a threat to manage. He was a mirror held up to heroism itself, reflecting the question every hero eventually faced: when evil seems unstoppable, when darkness claims inevitability, when tyrants offer power and demons promise purpose, do you break or do you fight? The Slayer had answered that question a long time ago, in the ruins of Argent Nur, standing over the bodies of his brothers, with Hell's armies surrounding him. His answer had been written in demon blood across dimensions, carved into reality itself through sheer unbreakable will. He would fight, always, forever, until Hell itself bowed or he finally fell. And Gotham, scarred but standing, wrapped in shadows but lit by hope, became his cathedral once more. Not to kill, though demons still died when they dared emerge, but to watch, to guard, to ensure that if darkness rose again, there would be someone standing, ready with weapons loaded, and rage perfected into art. The Doomslayer had entered the DC universe as a stranger, a warrior lost between dimensions. He remained as something more, a reminder that evil's greatest weakness wasn't divine power or brilliant strategy or even hope itself. It was the simple, absolute refusal of one warrior to ever stop fighting, no matter the cost. And in a universe where heroes could fall and villains could rise, where gods schemed and demons plotted, that refusal was worth more than all the power in creation.